On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO! Sorry. the comedic timing of that is perfect. I don't even know if there'll be a sound there in the edit. I'll have to make sure. Hold on, let me do a little wizardry. Okay, I've made sure you'll keep that sound there. All right, let me start again. On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we're going to come at you with new Ordeall Call duties, a swimsuit event participation support campaign, which is once again just a really fancy word for a story clear support campaign. And we got some more key art, got some things to say to you about the Dragon Palace, all this and more on Let's Talk FGO.
So, with that, I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka Under the Sea. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest and FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EN version of the game, so anyone not want to spoilers, pray for your wallets in the coming months.
No, it's better, maybe it's better, take it from me. That's the only thing I remember. The beat is laser focused into my mind. By the way, I didn't actually introduce us. If somehow you don't know who we are, I'm Omega, he's Lucky. What I was gonna say was make a comment about, getting ready for summer school, but the other thing was way funnier.
No, I noticed. That's why there was a B, but you didn't say anything, so I was like, fuck it, we go.
Yeah, no, I was just like, I gave it the comedic beat, and then we're just like, okay, all right. Now we've reset spaghetti. We've reset Okai, but okay. That means that first, after that beautiful, wonderful intro, I would like to thank our beautiful, wonderful listeners, but especially our patrons over on Patreon, some of whom are listening live right now. We will mention about our patrons later, but consider supporting us on Patreon to get mentioned, and also other stuff. Next, let us check out everybody's favorite Kohai, Mesh.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Because it is time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai Register for pro tips. This feels like less like a pro tip and more just like a pro discussion. But I did want to bring this up because I saw some people talking about this on our Discord and asking about it, because I believe that JP just had the Unity 6 update. And as far as I know, I have not seen, I double-checked today, I have not seen any news announcements on FGO English website about the Unity 6 update, so it hasn't been fully announced. I am reasonably certain it will happen sometime, but we don't know exactly when, and the update might not be the same size because we are a couple of years back. I do believe we usually get a new version update for Unity just because it's easier to keep all that shit in order, but depending on where the code and the content is at, I don't know. So they have 2 years of catch-up, so it's not like it has to lock in anytime soon. But to remind everybody, this is the update they mentioned where if it's your first time doing the, download extra data, or as the internet sometimes they call it, the bulk download of data, it's 30 gigs for your first download. If you have already done the extra data download, it should be approximately 16 gigs. And I do not think that is the final storage size on your machine. That's just, what the download size is. But yes, that is still a comment to let you know that maybe you should clear some space in your phone and double check your size and space availability. Make sure you've got the room for all of that. Unrelated, but I think I heard somebody actually mention that apparently Android doesn't let you throw apps on your SD cards anymore, which is a little dumb.
Nah, it sucks.
It's what storage is for. You should let me use the storage I already have, because storage is crazy. Completely unrelated to the next normal topic, which I will run down the line in a second. But I saw a tweet earlier today, I think, or maybe yesterday, talking about who is it? One of the big storage companies. I think it was SanDisk, but they announced an 8 terabyte HD designed for PS5 compatibility, and it's $2,500 or something, and it's just damn, this shit sucks.
Yeah,
storage very expensive, but that means we should move along with our regularly scheduled programming. Next up, Records on the Throne, our regular achievement topic. Actually achieving in a somewhat timely manner. This is Omega reporting in. Grail Ghetto. Story, done. Ladder, still need to work on.
I'm not done.
Yeah. So we won't... That's why I put a question mark in final thoughts later, but we'll get some of those thoughts out. But yeah, working on the event. Now I can move on to the the other comment people are talking about, which is that apparently doing the high-level nodes for this is awkward as hell.
From what I understand, the 90++ is a pain.
Yeah. Honestly, doing some of the regular nodes was a little weird. Like, normally I go for, like, all bonus servants where possible, because usually the bonus damage is worth it, but I kind of feel like this grouping is, like, narrow enough that I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna use my normal 5-star servants, and we'll just get over it. And the farming has indeed been more efficient, so it's an odd one. We'll have overall thoughts this week and next week, but definitely, like I said, I don't think this event is bad. I just think it comes out at kind of a weird time, and some of the mechanics are a little weird. Like, the bonus list is pretty slim, even though it totally could have included some extra servants in there. At the very least, we could have included Summer Q Hime, who's on rate up. It's weird, but we'll talk about that later. Moving on. That means we don't have any evils, and we go straight to, did you finish your master missions? If you want to finish your master missions this week, you got to defeat 5 servants, you got to defeat 10 servants, defeat 3 servants with a good alignment, and get 50 each of the 3 currency drops. That's sea cucumbers, Stardust candies, and Ryugyu pearls. So, guess what? Do the event! Shocking, I know.
Super shocking.
Oh, patron chat asking the question, is this the first time a rate-up servant wasn't a bonus servant? No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that has to have happened in the almost 9-year history of FGO now, 11 years overall. Like, there are definitely event banners where they'll throw in randos. Like, honestly, EN technically does it all the time with their, like, the free quest support banners. Like, half those guys aren't in the event. They're just, like, also in the niche of the event servant, but in case you didn't want to roll on them, here's a different banner, you know? I kind of hope they do that for the last week of this event, because what I was going to say about the farming is that I feel like some of these quests are really designed for you to have rolled the 5-star, but the Gorals have come at a very awkward time in the schedule.
Oh, the blessing and curse that is clairvoyance.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, even in JP, like, this would have been what, like, July still? Like, it's about a month early for us. You'd still have known Anniversary was, like, probably right around the corner. Did they announce when they were doing... Actually, that's something chat might remember for me. Was this the year when they said they were originally doing summer super late? Or was that last year's summer? There was one summer they announced that it was supposed to, like, actually be pretty late.
No, that was an earlier summer. This summer was strange because this summer is actually super long.
Yeah, that's right. This one's going to be very long, and then it's going to dovetail into Ordeal Call 3, which is a thing we're going to talk about in a second when I mention those EN campaigns. Yeah, so it just trails into OC3. So yeah, they may have already announced that, like, much like this time, where they also have technically announced the swimsuit event is in the not too distant future. They may have also in JP already announced that swimsuit summer was not that far away after this. So yeah, it's a little bit of an awkward time. We'll discuss exactly what I mean by all of that in just a second. But still, do the event, get your currency. That'll get you your master missions. Itch my eyebrow. That means we're gonna wander on down.
Come on down.
Come on down. Had to stop myself from immediately doing a completely different bit. Which would be, of course, Sunday. Take a picture of the whole sea, but you lead the edge. Anyway, skelograms. Mostly in the EN field, but we do have a couple of EN things. Number 1, Ordeal Call New Duties Unlocked. This is the 7th one of these. This was technically started the 15th. The campaign ends on the 3rd of July. Weird. Definitely don't remember that for later. Anyway, there's 2 new free quests on the Bleached Earth if you cleared Ordeal Call 0. These are also 0 AP and no Storm Pod cost until first clear during the campaign duration. So kind of encouraging you to catch up. I know that once I'm hopefully done farming all them delicious event currency and points, we'll clock that out as well. But we do have some extra and limited master missions. So extra missions are, you have new permanent updates to keep up to date with your class score and your various, servant improvements. And your limited time master missions are related to, having cleared certain things in the Ordeal Call Zone, etc. Gets you various rewards. Actually, you know what? I didn't jot down what all we are awarding. Still pretty normal, but I don't need to prevaricate in the show. I kept my notes, nice and slimline because I wanted to get back to hammering iron blooms and developing dragons in Vintage Story. But let's actually check the news article to let everybody know. I should also say this is something I did technically forget to put in the news, but I should have amended an update that the El Meloy and Sei Shonagon banners have begun. I did tell people in previous weeks that they would be coming, but Waiver started the 16th, Sei started the 18th. But those were known banners, so let's go to Ordeall Call and check. Yeah, so raise your final ascension and bond level 6. Yeah, 6 to get, some extra Starlight Sand and torches. And your limited missions are until the 3rd, do any of the specific Bleached Earth free quests. So do any free quests up to 6 times or 9 times, and then do the new ones. This will get you handfuls of EXPs, foes, and what's that? 1, 2, it's 5, 6. 6 St. Quartzes. Had to do a little math since it's all spread out. And some more Starlight Sand. Almost said Stardust, but that might be slightly confusing. So yes, make sure when you're done farming the event to also go back to farming Bleached Earth, as always. Always be farming Bleached Earth, apparently. Anyway, I mentioned this earlier, but let's actually talk about it as well. Also in EN, Swimsuit Event 2026 Participation Support Campaign Part 2, starting the 16th, also ending July 4th. They have announced that Swimsuit Event 2026, no previews on the naming or branding or anything, but that will be in mid-July. Mid-July, everybody. Once again, also about a month-ish early. That probably means even with, being able to scooch up Ordeall Call 3 a little bit, because I do believe the downtime was pretty long, that still probably means this summer event's going to be long as hell. But you have a series of login campaigns for various things. Just log in anytime during this to get 3 Leyline Stones, and then also keep logging in to get more Leyline Stones. Because again, this is secretly a story support campaign.
Oh, it's a secret.
And yes, your limited time missions are related to clearing the first sections of each Lost Belt, and then clearing Ordeall Call Prologue. That'll get you 10 Saint Quartz, and you can get some rare prisms and some crystallized lures. Your other ones, your login bonuses just log in for a total of 7 days during the period to get, 10 of various things, or 2 million QP, 50 mana prisms, stuff like that. Other stuff going on here is 0 AP up through LB7, double suck chance until the 30th, and then Leyline Stones are back in the store. Those are going to be good until the 30th of July, so you have over a month of full Leyline Stone time. And again, that may also get extended anyway because of Ordeall Call 3. Usually they start them, with not the full deadline, and then they extend them later. I would say, though, don't be too concerned about your double suck chance running out the 30th and not, July 3rd, because I'm pretty sure, for no reason at all, that we'll probably be going to, triple suck in the not-too-distant future. I've forgotten. Has JP gone to ×4 success rate yet?
I think we did a ×6 at one point.
Might have done ×6 for year 10.
You could do some crazy stuff. For year 10. It was,
You win the million downloads? Yeah, chat's saying we swore we had a ×5. So yeah, no, we've gotten bigger numbers, but at least a 3, I would say, for anniversary. Speaking of anniversary, but a different one, no real new JP news. They're still trucking along with the Enmity rerun. They're firing off their banners. I think they've got their whole schedule announced ahead of time. So no new surprises yet. Sadly, no surprise, Benny Enma banner. People have been having fun revisiting Enmity. Sparrow's in, but nothing new. But we do know, and I think technically we knew this already, but just to remind everybody, this year's FGO Fest theme is CHALDEA School Festival, and they are doing the usual run of releasing key art for it. So they released a whole bunch of them today, drawn by all the different artists. So we got the key art, and we've got the various servant designs of school uniforms and the like. What will probably almost assuredly be, the swathe of anniversary CEs. Looking pretty cool. Musashi featured as always. I didn't realize until I looked at her key art down in our JP Discord chat that she has real swords. Arthur has just a kendo stick. But you've got the two Typhons as twinsies. You know, there's all kinds of fun stuff. Great work. But that will, continue to be part of the ramp up until their anniversary. But for now, no new fresh JP news. But a reminder to remind you, because this was already announced, but I'll say it again, the FGO anniversary panel is going to be at AX, and it will be on July 4th. It has been announced that it will have Kawasumi-san and Kana Ueda as guests for no particular reason. No reason at all. Actually, that's a good question. I'm pretty sure Kana Ueda's been at the anniversary panels before, but I don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't think she does a lot of appearances at on streams and whatnot.
No, but they for mainline JPFGO, they make sure to have her hop out every once in a while when there's something big to talk about, and obviously there's reason for her to be at this one. We know what it is. If you know, you know.
I remember VTuber Ren.
That was a great one. Sadly that one didn't go anywhere because Extra Record's been stuck in development hell, but that was a pretty cool appearance. Anyway, the 4th is a Saturday. That'll be in about 2 weeks, so I can go ahead and tell you that'll probably be a show on a Saturday, and it'll probably be a live stream from us in about 2 weeks. Tentatively pencil in your schedules. We'll figure it out for sure later, but that's probably what we're gonna do because that's usually what we do around big old anniversary time.
I should work on our stream tech then.
Our Streamio technology. That is actually the end of Skelgrams. Before we should go into Mailbag, that did remind me, actually. That's something I need to double check. I talked about this on the start of the FF stream, but I was thinking about, I need to figure out if I can, import a generic countdown timer asset into OBS. Even if it's just a minute, because that is actually something I've seen, crop up, filter through about people talking about, your stream can be more welcoming to brand new viewers if you make sure to let them know exactly how long your, starting soon screen is. And I'm like, no, that probably is a good idea. We don't usually have long starting soon segments, but I do like to queue it up for about 60 seconds anyway. So it would be nice if I could figure out a way to just have that on screen. So I'll look at that.
Probably requires some plugins.
We might find some plugins. I don't really fuck around with OBS plugins, but we can fuck around with OBS plugins. I know they exist. Actually, that normally that sort of business talk would probably be even before the announcements and stuff. But that is actually something I should mention. I this week got a comment on an earlier video from the start of the year talking about timestamps, and I wrote a pretty long comment describing the process of how Let's Talk FGO gets made, which is that, let's see, it's almost 10 o'clock at night now, so this will probably get, edited, uploaded, run through audio and video formats at 4 a.m. So listening to the show again after it's been processed to run timestamps is tough. But they actually, responded to my response, which is rare, and, it was a little weird because, no offense, gentlemen or gentlewoman, gentle being, if you're listening now, because this was an episode from the start of this year, but they started it by saying, as a fellow YouTuber and a marketer, and I'm like, this reads like I'm getting a scam email, but they didn't actually advertise anything, so I don't know. But, talked about automated tools for timestamps. I did some Googling. Most of them look like they're AI, and most of them want me to give them an email, but we'll see. I'll probably, if you're watching this video on public on YouTube, I will probably experiment with trying to figure out some sort of loose timestamp technology. I don't know how locked in they'll be, so be sure to, let me know in the comments how the timestamps line up, but we'll run a little experimentino on those. Also, yes, talking about, locking in your spending and stuff. I've already, I already looked at my budgetation, and I've already put a pause on my Hulu Disney Plus for a few months because I've been watching it, and I'm just like, I don't need to spend that extra money every month. I can pause it for a couple of months, and if I suddenly need to watch something, I can resume it. But yes,
House of Mouse don't need your money.
No, they really don't. There's projects I do occasionally like to support on there, and it's nice to have access to all their backlog, but have not been in a TV mood the past couple of months. My routine these days is usually on a weekday is like jam Vintage Story until about 1 a.m. and then see how much Star Wars Outlaws or something I can cram before I have to pass out. How much Sabak can I play? Maybe a little more on that later.
Kessel Sabak. It's fun. I know it's not real
fun.
Sabak, but it's fun. And it's simple.
It is pretty simple. I do sometimes feel like the enemy players are just fucking cheating me, though. Cheesing me.
I mean, you can cheat them.
Thank God. Wouldn't get any. Sorry. The Patriot had a great comeback. They refused to put The House of Mouse on Disney Plus. Fuck them. Okay. Hey, listen, vote with your wallet. That is.
Oh, that's why we can't. That's why we can't booby trap people's houses with random bears. Sorry, I'm in Vintage Story right now, and Ark and Loth are in there at the moment. And Loth is trying to figure out why animals are despawning when he puts a bear in Axe's house.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, animals may need some sky to them, otherwise they will despawn. So I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I think we did know that. Yeah, you need to give them a little bit of sky. It's so they despawn in caves. So also, by the way, Axe, don't worry. There's not actually a bear in your house. I've put extra oil lamps inside your house for lighting, and there are currently no bears.
Nah, it despawned. There was a bear, no longer.
Did Loth's attic booby trap links go away too?
I'm not sure. Loth is horrible about building, so he might actually have a hole in there or something.
That might also be true. His place is kind of a cataclysm. I discovered the links when I was double checking for the Dragon Blueprint, and I was just like, fuck. Oh, also, that's you can tell him if you like, or you can choose to not tell him. He already tells about it. It was me. I gave him the schematic rack. I built the schematic rack and put the dragon schematic on it, so it's easier for people to find.
No, the thing that we're yelling about in Vintage Story right now is that Ark found a bone snapper egg in his greenhouse, while me, Lucky, owner of Kaide, the fastest wing in the West, has been searching the northern mountains for literal in-game months and have not found one.
Wait, okay, so I saw the screen cap. So sorry, we're not getting to Skelligram's chat. You're experiencing the Vintage Story talk right now, but it's fine. It's fresh. You'll live. And if if timestamps works, you can just skip this bit. So I saw the screenshot. That wasn't he found an egg and planted it. That was just it's in his orangery, his treehouse, his treehouse. That's fucking wild. I'm bamboozled. Ark saying in live chat, spawned in his greenhouse. That's crazy. How? Huh? I know that maple wings just spawn. That's how I got my egg. That's how Lucky found the original egg for Kaide. You found another maple wing earlier today. Yeah. They're just dead dragons falling out of the sky, chat. But the bone snapper, we were worried about finding. That's nutty.
No, apparently, it's supposed to spawn in cold-ass areas on the top of mountains, and we're talking mountains that have to be in, the top 35% of the elevation of the world. I checked, I can fly Kaide up to a height of 321. That means that those eggs should be spawning anywhere from just, over 200 in the sky. 200. Usually on top of snow layers. So the fact that one just spawned, this is what happened last time where Ark just, wandered, for a quick jaunt up north, came back with 5 fucking eggs.
A lot of eggs, true. But yeah, that's wild. Does that mean the only one we haven't found is the Coppertail?
Yeah, no. I found Stormweaver, we found Maplewing, Ark's got the Bone Snapper, and I know Aaron's out there looking for a Coppertail, but he has not found one. I think Ark has been out there, looking as well, if I remember correctly. No, the dragons are good.
Yes,
I love dragons.
The Draconis mod for Vintage Story. It's really fucking cool.
I love it to death.
If you want, you could get the airship mod, which also works, but is probably way more complicated to do by yourself or in a small server. Dragon eggs.
Dragons are just good.
No, they're pretty cool.
We'll talk more about Vintage Story later, because I have other woes to talk about there.
So we'll put a pin in that, and we'll come back to that in the What's Up.
We'll come back to that in the What's Up. So, with that, we are going to move smoothly, like there was no bump at all, over to this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. We're going to hit one last refresh on the YouTube page, where we host the Mailbag. And we got five comments, so we'll get through them all, starting at the top. And at the top, we have llama herding and dragoon leveling. This sounds 14 related. But they say, howdy, Lucky Omega. Hope you're having a good week and aren't sweating too much with summer fast approaching. Question. I don't think this one has been asked before. So, what has been your favorite map in FF14? Favorite map in 14? Honestly, Ultima Thule and Endwalker. Just because everything about that is amazing. The background is amazing. You have, like, the different tribes there. The story in there. And the music, close in the distance, especially when you're going through story and you go through the several different versions of it.
Yeah, it's got
amazing.
multiple layers. No, that I had to think about this one. That was my first thought. I was like, what map do I actually enjoy in 14? I'm like, no, I think my favorite is Ultima Thule so far. Like, there's a lot of good ones. Like, if you wanted to ask me, like, you know, like hub areas, obviously, like, Tuliyola is very fun with the big brass, but I'm like, I talked about it, I think, on the stream of, like, I should use my extra PlayStation Plus home to set it to the Crystarium, because the Crystarium is also just, like, a really cool, meaningful place, especially when you first bring back Night, and you're just like, damn. But no, Ultima Thule probably is my favorite map. Making our jokes in the pre-show about, someday Endwalker is going to be part of the free trial.
It's gonna be amazing. But also, in regards to summer, I have AC. I am living. And thankfully, I live in the Pacific Northwest. While it can get hot, it does never get super hot. If we hit over 100 degrees, we're having a bad year. Mostly, we hit mid to high 90s at worst. And we haven't hit the worst yet. Soon, though.
Yeah, we're not at peak temperatures. We'll see. Several things in this house have been improved over the intervening years. So AC's pretty good. It's locked in. We can't even worry about being storm knocked out because we got the whole house generator, which is strong enough to run the AC even if there's an outage, So, pretty alright.
Alrighty then. This next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes and wishing you well. Wah, 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 wah. Keep up the great work. P.S. The dreaded time has returned. Don't forget your PvP ladder.
No.
When does part 2 start again?
Actually, God, I don't know, but it is almost July. September? Well, depending on where you're at with your PvP season, I'm not too bad.
I can always be better.
Ain't that the truth? Chad, if you don't know, in Final Fantasy XIV, there's basically a battle pass every PvP season, season pass thing, except you can't pay money for it. You gotta play PvP, and usually there's good rewards in it. If you get to the end of it, you can repeat forever to get more trophy crystals. So, like, you could always be doing better.
Mm-hmm. Alright, my dragon nurseries are complete. They have 2 wide fucking wood walls, and I'm gonna put a roof on them. Do they need a roof? They probably need a roof. I don't know if a fucking meteorite will fall from the fucking sky and hit my baby dragons.
What I did for mine was I did the shade roof, because that, like, lets light and rain in, but you can't go through it.
Oh, I'll look into that. It's like I made them a little straw nest, so they should be nice and comfy, but I don't want to box them in. Lucky takes dragon raising very seriously.
Also, they get big. And they get big.
They do get big. I'm gonna have to take
them
out.
And they wander. I originally cut out a cool, like, cave niche in the previous survey for my dragon egg, and, like, she wandered out of there. I had to build her a complex arena in the front yard.
So, moving on. The next one comes from The Wayward Lurker Returns. I say, hi, Lucky Omega. Hope the farming for the event is going well. My question for this week is, if the Lost Belts actually clash against one another in a battle royale, which Lost Belt do you think ultimately would come out victorious? Sending summer solstice vibes as we approach the longest day of the year. See, that's not a sound where I make wah wah wah. That's where I just go, ugh, as I look upon that burning ball of fire in the sky, melting me.
Ugh. Oh shit, it is almost the summer solstice. That will be the 20th to 21st. I had to double check for everybody. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Summertime is here.
Yeah. But with your question on Battle Royale, if we're talking about, like, with OG cryptors and their servants, I do think probably Daime would probably pull it off. He did start with the biggest. He had literal divine spirits on his side, and he was one hell of a mage. David and Tez, I can't fucking say words to save my fucking life. I'm not gonna try again. Probably can give him a good run for his money, and I think the combination of Beryl and Morgan, with, it actually just being Morgan and LB6, could be a dark horse.
The last three are pretty strong, yes, but yeah, if we're taking into context, and actually, maybe we should say this, Chad, if you don't remember, if it's been too long, when we started the Lost Belt story, that's how Wodaime billed it as, is that, each Lost Belt would grow, spread, and eventually they would clash, and one would become the new foundation for humanity. Still don't know what the hell that was all about.
Listen, he was just talking shit, trying to confuse the alien god. It was just part of his con.
Rasputin had given him some crazy ideas to work with. But yeah, so that was kind of the pitch. So I don't know how it was actually supposed to play out, but that was something that was originally on the table, and I do mostly agree with Lucky there. Wodaime is definitely the strongest mage out of the crew. He has access to a wide range of, Olympian divine spirits whose, radius would grow with the Lost Belt. Like, it would be very hard to actually attack him in his home Lost Belt because, the seas are patrolled by Poseidon. The more the Lost Belt spreads, the bigger radius for Artemis's, space gun is, all that kind of stuff. Not to mention, his own, capabilities with servants, the Dioscuri, Canis, etc., being very strong. I would say probably, David is the second strongest contender, but also, David's weird. He's a weirdo.
Yeah.
Wodaime would literally be beating down his door, and he would be looking at some weird tablet going, this is very interesting. Oh, what's that? I'm losing? I don't care. This is way, way cooler.
Yeah, but David also has, the fucking wild cloud of Ort and whatnot in there.
I mean, Cuckoo, becoming giant, she managed to do some pretty crazy stuff. But yeah. I don't know how that would don't know where that would weigh in with Zeus, because I don't actually, there was a lot of complexity with Cuckoo's character, and kind of like the Dinos and their beliefs in a god. Like, would the locals have supported her to actually, grow 100 feet tall and punch Zeus? I don't know. It would be cool.
Like, if you're thinking about others, unfortunately,
I mean, all the Lost Belts are pretty cracked. It's just Wodaime's was always definitely the strongest. I guess it really depends on the circumstances, because Chinshi Wang can drop meteors on people, but that's about all he has until he gets his cool immortal body.
Yeah. Kadok probably does not have the temperament nor the power to pull the wind, and his Lost Belt was a bit too unforgiving.
Yeah, Ivan was pretty strong. Yaga were pretty tough, but against a Zeus or a Tezcatlipoca, not too much of a matchup. Never mind that the closest neighbor would be the Scandinavian Lost Belt. That I think Scotty would turn Ivan into a pile of mammoth steaks.
Probably. Scotty would probably be a strong enough spirit to probably make a good running, but unfortunately, I do not think Ophelia necessarily has the temperament to win. She seems to she doesn't seem necessarily.
I don't think Ophelia could stand up to Wodaime for
no.
For serious.
No. Honestly, I can't see our best person, Scandinavia Peppercino, actually trying to win this. I really can't.
No, he was just in it for the lulz. I mean, he would be there for the setup, like you said. Morgan and Beryl is the wild card, but Beryl is his own wild card, so he would try to wild card himself, and it would be just like the actual story that played out, which is he would betray Wodaime for no good reason. He would be like, "Oh well, I lost anyway. Wodaime, let me inside your sanctuary. Ha ha! My sudden but inevitable betrayal." And Pepe would just have to be like, I hope you understand. This means war.
Yeah. And unfortunately, our Pison would not care about this at all.
She emphatically did not, actually. That was actually one of the plot points of LB3, was the fact that as a crypter, she was completely uninterested in growing or supporting her Lost Belt, and in fact did not want it to grow and clash, because that would mean that inevitably Qin Shi Huang would send Zhang Yu out. And I'm gonna be honest, he was a little tough in the story. That guy does not have the smoke for the back half.
No, he really does not.
Like, Sigurd Surtur was actually a pretty tough guy, like, and then, Final Form Surtur, like, that's a pretty big answer. I think that guy could even throw hands against, Zeus and, like fight him on even keel, Zeus would probably win because technically he is a giant slayer, but, that's a giant apocalyptic, a large apocalyptic giant, a massive giant of flame. And he did have, Fenrir's powers as well, so, like, that would have been a cool matchup. Like I said, I think, Cuckoo could probably trade some blows. Morgan would be much more of, like, a not head-to-head fighting, but, like, outthinking her enemies, access to, 1,000 years of fairy sorcery. That, or she would just also kind of do what she did in the real story, and she would just, use those 12 Rongo Miniads in her throne room and just fire them like Tomahawk cruise missiles. Ah, yes, Queen Morgan from Lost Belt the Sixth, from the Britain Lost Belt, has sent us a package. I wonder what it is. It's a pipe bomb, and by a pipe bomb, I mean Rongo Miniad, teleported directly into my spleen.
Not my spleen.
Sorry, I had another funny thought about the water mirror, and I'm just like, I'm imagining Morgan also doing her other move and just taking her enemies and shoving them somewhere else, throwing them into different timelines. Anyway, no, I think it's Wodaime or Daebit, just like it always was.
Yeah. I think they've said something to that effect.
It's either, I'm pretty sure in Lost Belt 5, though it might have been 6, but I think it was 5 at some point, like, because that's when you have the highest density of cryptors all in one pace. During LB5 Olympus, you've got Wodaime and Olympus, and you've got Kadok, Pepe, and Beryl all in one place, like taking, meetings and tea time and shit. And at some point, I'm pretty sure either Kadok or Beryl just straight up observes, like, yeah, this wasn't ever a contest. Even though we had our own Lost Belts and servants, Wodaime was always clearly the one who was gonna win. I think the only guy who would have a chance would be Daebit.
Alright, but I think that's enough on that. And we will move on. This next one comes from Agent 418, who says, "Hello, Lucky Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all." Same to you, buddy. Rapid finger guns. I don't know if that came through.
Yeah, it came through.
Cool.
Let's see if it stays in the... No, yeah, I can see this glitch pretty distinct. I was wondering if it would stay in the edit, but no, that's definitely a signature sound that's not going to get blended in with other random noise.
I can't actually snap that loud. There's people that have those super crisp snaps. I have meaty snaps.
I can get a little bit of a zing in there, but yeah, it's mostly pure friction, baby. Just years of practice.
Like, I can do ringing claps. I can clap super fucking loud, and whistle.
Yeah, I don't like to clap loud, though. That hurts my hands. I need those.
That was actually not a good one, but that's what I get for trying. Okay. So, moving on. Our last, but not least, Soul of the Lightmore Discord, who says, "Dear two servants in a trench coat, Lucky, and Oto Toto Omega. Been a while since I got a chance to message in, so I just want to wish you both some backlog good weeks and good vibes. Wah, wah, wah. Ciao. Arrivederci, my friend." So, yeah. I do believe that's it. Is anyone going to try and sneak one last one in? Sure, why not? Let's check. Nope. Alright. So, that is it for this week's mailbag. Thank you very much for sending them in. Remember, if you want to get your stuff read on live during the show, please check in our Discord on Fridays. Lucky will post a message giving you a link to it, and you can put in all sorts of nonsense in there. Hope to see you next week.
Yep, posted on the channel, posted in the Discord, and the deadline is literally just now. When Lucky says that he's refreshing the page, that's it. If you get in after that, well, we already recorded it. What are we going to do, time travel? Alright, but that takes us out of Mailbag to CHALDEA Free Talk. As I said earlier, this was I titled it in my notes, Dancing Dragon Castle Final Impressions. What section about are you at, Lucky?
Do I have? No, I don't have open. Some dude just, took the grail from another dude, and now he's a super dude?
Okay, that's fairly late. Not too much longer to go, so you're pretty far along. Yeah, so, yes, Dancing Dragon Castle. I'm donezo with it. Lucky's pretty close to the end. We'll be done by next week. Maybe we'll jot down some more notes. But, so being complete with the story, I gotta say, I understand, I think, now kind of why this event seems to fly under the English-speaking radar. Maybe even the greater JP culture. Obviously, we've talked at length, and I go into it in the Wanted video about it, that Hibiki and Chikagi are, like, already fairly obscure two-type moonheads. Like, that they're the mobile website they were the mascots for ended the year before FGO came out, which was obviously when the newbie boom started. So, like, already kind of a deeper cut. Not to say that they're bad characters by any means. I do think they're both fairly well written in this story. Got some interesting things going on. You never know. Maybe that guy will show up out of NPC jail someday. Once again, God knows, if we actually got reruns of events, that would be, one, a good time to actually run the Azumi no Isora banner again. Haven't actually had a dedicated raid up for them since their event happened, which is now, literally 2 years have passed in JP. But also, getting that guy in.
He has some unique animations in there.
Mm-hmm. I think there's some suggestion where you could have a couple of different, like, they don't actually give him different arts, but you can kind of see where they could do different Ascension arts. The main thing is he doesn't have, I think, a proper, like, NP animation, because I think as a boss he just does a slightly elaborate attack. But that's never stopped them before. I do want to say in general, having finished the event, I did mention this last week, but I'll mention it again. This is another one of those events where you can really see them cranking the production value. There are several, animated transitions. There are, CGs which have, effects with, like, shadow light coming to the front. Later, there are some actual, like, what do I say, like, animatics? Like, not quite full-blown animation, but, a few frames of animation in the CGs. So, they've got a few things.
They have some effects.
Yeah, they definitely have some effects. You haven't even seen some of the effects later. We've certainly found the lens flare button for some later stuff. Even more so. So, like, they have a few things. But what I was going to say was, this event is definitely, like, obviously we talked last week about it being a Tanbata Festival event, a star-crossed lovers thing, or, like, not even that, but just, like, kind of, like, missed opportunities sort of a thing.
I can understand why they used Seabold and his wife now. It's like,
yes,
okay.
No, that's a very good fit. And a story that probably wasn't, too well known to everybody. Even in Japan, like, I think it takes Chikagi, like, a little bit to be like, wait a minute, I remember this from, like, middle school history several years ago. I mean, I will say, I do like, Otaki and Seabold have very good sprites. Obviously, also, like, it reminds me of a Great Ace Attorney character, but I was very worried the baby would be the secret mastermind. Because she's just hanging out there behind him all the time.
Air
looking over
punching.
his shoulder. Yeah. Making baby
That
noises,
baby is ready.
No,
That
great
baby's
baby.
ready to commit
Like,
violence.
very good character art. I think Otaki and Seabold and Ine are all going to just stay in like proper NPC jail. They are actual background NPCs. God, trying to say all of his name. It starts with Umi because of the C. We'll just call him Mr. Umi. Mr. Umi, like, that's a guy who could graduate to a playable unit some year. It's just a question of, is FGO interested in doing that? I don't know, because they keep fucking... FGO is the game of the eternal. Game over, so dead. EOS next week. What's that? Brand new servant? Top of the sales charts. We've never been more back. Another generational wealth of servants discovered in FGO. FGO hegemony continues for another century. But yeah, they have very good character designs all around that I think were good. Even the snapping turtle, Iwabune, is kind of, like, important. Though that may also just be to get some kaiju references. There is a point later in the story where Nagiko literally says, "Whoa, it's like a kaiju movie." Thank you, Nagiko.
Say Sharingan never change.
Oh, she's great. Honestly, it's pretty funny, like, overall writing. Like, in the epilogue, Sei even has a line where she just goes, like, man, I don't know, I just kind of felt like I was there. And Waver's like, no, ma'am, you were actually, you were the heart and soul. We couldn't have done it without you. And he's not wrong, but also, I feel like Sei is also not wrong. Like, her role as kind of, like, the story lightener and kind of the, you know...
She's what's known in a lot of culture, like, she's the mood maker.
Yes.
She's the one who keeps people positive and moving forward.
Yeah, and she kind of sets the, you know, she helps sets the tone in various scenes, and that includes bringing us up when our mood is down, but also, like, you know, giving us that spark of romance when nobody knows what the fuck to do about Otohime.
Yeah. No, Sharingan is great.
She's important. But I also understand completely why she's like, man, I kind of feel like I didn't do anything, because, like, there are a couple of, like, off-screen / on-screen fights they have with Mr. Umi, but I don't actually, you know, like, at no point does she, like, bust out her noble phantasm or any of her particular abilities. She's mostly here just to, you know, be very brightly colored and be cheerful.
I appreciate it.
And, you know, Waver's here to be our brains. Because Lord knows if we didn't have him, we wouldn't have any of that. Cut off from CHALDEA, we would be in trouble.
Just kind of winging it.
We do a little bit of that anyway, because there are times when Waver is like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I know what's going on, Master. Figure it out. And you're just like, okay, I'll figure it out. Fuck it, we ball.
I know it's old, but I'm so glad we just have the fucking cat in space meme in FGO. This gives me joy on several levels. I just want to say that.
No, that was so great. Yeah, no, they hit him with the cat in space. That's yeah, it's perfect. No, like I said, this event I think is very well written, and like I like the, you know, the emotional line with the characters. I think the cast is pretty good for a little small. I think some of the mechanics, like I said, are a little like awkward with like the bonus servant list. It feels like intentionally slim. Who knows? Maybe they were still crunched for time. I know there was a lot of time press going on.
I don't also about Otohime, I don't know, but I do feel like somewhere in popular culture, Otohime got this reputation of being kind of obsessive love. Like, I've seen it like in a few like other medias and whatnot.
It's either something to do with like the Tale of the Brothers, or also maybe Urashima Taro.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where it comes from.
I will say, I think I understand kind of where, like, Otohime is coming from as a character, and why she would possess Kiyohime in this context, is, like, she is kind of there are several myths about her, you know, looking for love or pairing up with a human, but then, obviously, it is the inevitable of, like, hey, dumbass, humans can't live under the ocean. You can't do it. You gotta return to land where you're from. It's like a reverse, like, mermaid or, like, you know, Selkie, you know, seal wife kind of a story, right? Like, just like, you go in the water, get water wife, realize you can't stay in the fucking water, you gotta go back. Like, obviously it's a great fit for the Tanbata themes, but yeah. I don't really think she's, like, yandere in the classical sense. That was thrown around in patron chat for people catching up. She is just straight up, like, or rather the Kiyohime that comes out is, like, just obsessive, toxic. Not to say that being yandere isn't also probably toxic, but, that's, you know, actually being psycho mode. Kiyohime can be kind of yandere. I don't actually know if Otohime is that yan. She's just, like I said, just, you know, toxically clingy. She's very intense. But yeah, I think Lucky's right that there are some pop cultural comments about that. And asking if she can be a servant on her own, probably, but also kind of not. First of all, she is a straight-up divine spirit, so we're not supposed to do that. I know that FGO breaks all the rules, but it's supposed to be against the rules, 1. And 2, I don't actually know, like, how much of a breadth of mythological basis there is for her. There is obviously a couple of famous folk tales, and there is, you know, there is the story of the brothers and the Tide Jewels, which is relayed in the Nihon Shoki. I think it's also in the Kojiki. So she's in a primary source, unlike Azumi no Esora, who's not in a primary source, which the event straight up brings up, which is probably why he's, like, kind of a weaker divine spirit who had to snatch a pseudo to get in. But yeah, I don't actually know if she would qualify on her own. Owa Datsumi would probably be a big boy big enough to be a servant. You might also know him as Ryujin, the dragon god of the ocean. But yeah, like that seems like a pop cultural thing. I don't know where the sweets came in. I think that's just because Hibiki and Chikage work at a cafe part time.
Mm-hmm.
So we just decided to make it sweets. I don't know. Is the Dejima area known for like candy? Wouldn't be shocked if they did like Dutch imports.
Well, I will say, Nagasaki Castella is actually kind of famous.
That is also true. Yeah, that would be probably the. So that's actually that'll recenter the point I wrote down, which is, like I said, I kind of see why this one missed the English speaking audience a little, even if you play JP. Not only is it very Japanese, it feels very specifically Kyushu. Like it's very much about like the area around like Dejima, Nagasaki, that Kyushu Islands kind of a thing, because Azumi no Isora is not necessarily like a big name god everywhere in Japan. He's very important to certain groups in the southern islands, but he's not like everywhere. And so this kind of feels like this started as just like them kind of like rubbing their chins, in the Type Moon writers room in the bullpen, just rubbing their chins, going like, we need an event before anniversary. What could it be? What could we do? Well, it's July, we've never done anything about Tanbata. What could we do? I don't know, something about here, there, and just being like, what things could we do? What themes do we have? Maybe we have this idea for Azumi no Isora and the tide jewels already. What's famous down there? Oh, Nagasaki Castellana. We can make this about sweets. Actually, shit, I should double check because it's been a couple of years. What if anybody ever spoke in interviews about the event story or not? This one, I will say, the back end of this story feels like a Nasu joint because it gets like very esoteric about Japanese mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Right down to I won't spoil it, but in the epilogue, like when she's having that conversation with Waver I mentioned earlier, Sei also has a conversation with her and Murasaki where she like theory crafts, the event and like some of the gods involved, and it's just like, okay, interesting. Like we're doing a lot of greater Nasuverse like canon welding here, which is interesting, but also is very, what's the word, specific.
No, I haven't got through the full thing. Like I said, I don't know if I'm particularly enthused about the story so far. It's not bad, but it's also not necessarily hitting me strongly, I would say.
No, I mean, I'll say this. There's a little bit of a, an emotional core in the back bit. The next bit you haven't gotten to quite yet.
Yeah.
But I think something in chat saying, didn't pick up steam until the very end. I kind of feel like that. Like, it's...
Yeah.
The pacing of the event is a little weird, right? You show up, you don't know what the fuck is going on, you get knocked out and taken to the Dragon Castle immediately, you escape, then you figure out kind of what's going on, and then actually stop the villain's plan. But wait, there's more. It's fate. There's a double secret villain, and then you gotta defeat him and, like, have your darkest moment and all that stuff.
Honestly, I'm gonna chalk this up to the fact that we got fucking, the most crazy event coming up. And they probably were focused a lot more on that and did not put as much time baking this one in the oven.
No, like, I think I did mention that. This one kind of feels like it was time crunched a little bit. Like, obviously they had a long lead up because there were still those 2 reruns before it.
Yeah.
But the follow up is, 9th anniversary, whatchamacallit, and Space Eresh, which is a big deal. Lots of big updates, which were like ultimately, the updates with like the extra append skills were flawed, so then they had to scramble for a whole nother thing later as well. But like, big quality of life updates, and then a very big, very long summer event, which had we talked about this last week because we were talking about calculating who our summers might be this year. We're going back to, I believe it's going to be another 3 banners, right? Like overall, I think it's another 3 SSRs because it's like it's got a part 1, a part 2, and then it goes into the next story drop. Like, that's a lot of writing, that's a lot of work, that's a lot of technical work, making sure you've got all the servants ready and programmed. Okay, it's 2 banners this year, and then it goes into the story. All right. That still probably means that it's technically like 4 banners. I forget. Is there a standalone welfare for this summer, or is it just the Hakunos, who are technically in the Ordeal call for free? Just Hakuna, okay. But that's like an FP Gacha unit. Like, it's very chaotic,
Chaos.
And FGO was still dealing with, like, big delays. Like, I think it's not until after this year in JP that they seem to have, like, actually tightened up the schedule. Like, obviously, there were, like, long gaps in implementing LB6 and LB7. You know, it took a while to get some of the Ordeall call stuff going out, and then this one is, like, some very broken up segments between Summer and Ordeall Call 3, and then, you know, it seems like for the follow-up, they kind of locked in. But, yeah, so this one, I think, is kind of just, like, you know, off the cuff, you know, maybe a little rushed for time, like I said, and who knows, it may have been Nasu writing it. Like, they may have, you know, asked him for an event and nobody had any ideas for something short, and he was just like, I got some ideas about, you know, the mythology of Japanese ocean deities. Here, let me rip something off the cuff real quick. Because, you know, it is the usual event story format of just 7 sections, and then prologue, epilogue, basically. Like, actually, I think there's technically 8 numbered sections, but, like, the 8th is just a direct follow-on from the previous. Like, it runs by at a pretty fast clip. Honestly, it's funny. I feel like there's more, like, development as a character for Isora than there is for, like, Hibiki and Shikagi. Like, they don't really arc at all.
No, like, I like them. I think they're cute, but they are clearly mascot characters.
Yeah.
To put it in a way.
No, Nasu obviously put a lot of, you know, weird, wacky background thoughts into them for just being mascot characters, but, like, they are just kind of, like, mascot characters, you know, when they show up. They explain everything you need to know about Hibiki in the early. That's when Waver does the fucking cat in space meme. There's actually no new extra information. There is some information about Shikagi that I didn't see doing any wiki walk about, you know, her having one weird trick, but that's... So I don't know if that was always planned and they just never got to it because they closed the website, or it was obscure in it was mentioned in just one drama CD that I didn't, you know, read the full plot dump of. I don't know.
She just has one weird ability to get to certain places. No, but like I said, I'll finish the story up pretty soon and get into farming myself. Like I said, it's not crazy, so
yeah.
Yes. Like I said, I do not regret this event.
No, like I said, it's not a hater. It is that case of, like, we talked about this, I think, before the event came out when I was doing, like, the pre-game. That's the word I use to describe that thing I do where I write out a short guide to the event. Usually, when there's an event that doesn't, like, have any overall buzz, we get pleasantly surprised because it's not actually a bad event. It's just that, you know, because of the language barrier, you know, we don't hear as much about it. In this case, it probably is still some of the language barrier, but also it definitely feels like this event is just kind of okay. It's not bad. It's definitely not as bad nor as tedious as some early FGO events. You know, you want to talk about events where the story really, really doesn't do anything. We had some early events that were true nothing burgers. They were good for memes and not a lot else. Looking at you, moon viewing. They were good memes, but yeah, there really wasn't anything else there. God, Journey to the West, yes. Great for memes, but...
Also, Ox King CE, very good.
Yes, very good
in various ways.
Very, like I said, the memes were very funny. Casting Mordred as Red Boy and Lartoria, Lancer Alter as Ox King, very funny. But also, like, I do not know what the fuck they were thinking. Like, I know that was an event that did have 2 halves, but I don't think they added any new... Did they add any new story in the second half?
I don't remember.
I don't think they did. That's the thing, though, also, is what I'm going to say. The Journey to the West is fucking huge. Like, what do you mean you picked, like, I don't know, probably, like, 6 random vignettes to do for, like, a crossover event? Like, there's, you could probably do a gacha game that was nothing but retelling Journey to the West, and, like, every 2 months have a new chapter. Like, you know, the Journey to the West is incredibly dense. It is also, in fact, sometimes literally episodic. But anyway. We've had bad events. This event is not bad, but I do kind of agree with you, Lucky, that it is kind of just like, it's all right. I don't feel like I wasted my time, but I'm also not going like, you know...
I'm not bawling my eyes out with emotion.
No, I think this one's got some teeth at the end, but I don't know if it's a baller. Lucky will let me know next week, I guess. But it's okay. we do get to lean on our gags, but it is ultimately kind of meant to be a shorter interlude event before we crunch onto a much larger event, which is going to be directly story related. So, yeah, that's most of what I got. Hey, in addition to again reminding you to let me know how if the timestamp experiment is working, let us know what you thought of the event overall in the comments. Maybe not too spoilery because, the final chapter only unlocked like a couple of days ago. Not everybody's going to have spedball farmed through it. Technically, I only finished the epilogue like earlier today. It was just, one pip of no battle, so it wasn't hard. It was just when I locked it in. So, but let us know in them comments below. Play the engagement game. And, yeah, a little over an hour, and that'll bring us to the end of Free Talk for now.
Yay.
Now we move into What's Up, the section of the show entitled What's Up.
This is a segment where we're just going to be talking about things that have happened throughout the week, whether it be games, news, or other things that are just, stuck in our craw. So, unfortunately, if you're here for more FGO content, no more. You gotta think about a better way to say that.
I know. It's like that. Trust me, if you're like, oh no, this wasn't enough audio for me to get through my morning commute, or for me to go to sleep, or for me to finish my 90++ node farming. One, consider listening to the back half of the show anyway, because, trust me, well, yeah. But also, do not worry. There will be a very big, long show in the not-too-distant future around Anniversary. Usually that's just fucking slam chock full of newsies. But let's talk about what's up. Oh, where do we start? I mean, we alluded to it earlier. I did have a question mark in earlier, but we have already talked about it. Do we want to talk a little bit about our Vintage Story server?
We can talk a little bit about our Vintage Story server. So we're playing Vintage Story. This is our third world?
Third big server? Fourth big server?
No, fourth. This is our fourth.
Yeah.
This is our fourth world.
V1 we didn't really talk about. V2, V3.
Because V3 was Two Bears River.
Yeah. I mean, technically we had the Jade Emperor in the middle, but that was also not nearly as big.
Yeah, that didn't last long, now that I think about it. Let's see. Yeah, no. Yeah, because that was Two Bears, and we had Jade Emperor. This one, well, I call myself the Goblin King, so that's how I'm going to refer to it. Goblin's King Dragon Ranch. We do deliveries.
Yeah, Lucky locked in the role as the first one to get an adult dragon as the dragon mailman, and again, shockingly effective. Arc's correct, yeah, calling Jade Emperor 3.5.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was right, 3.5, because that's when we add 3.5 was when we added the Japanese architecture one, and I built my big old Japanese house. That's right. Sorry, I was just trying to remember like the moments of that. But we're in Vintage Story. We're actually just finished our first year. It is currently May 2nd of year 1, almost noon. And again, we've gone through a whole sweeping of mods here, but I do want to shout out the specialized classes mod, mostly because it interacts with a lot of other mods, and I think that's fucking rad.
Yeah, no, I think way before we actually got around to actually firing up V4, as we'll call it, the Goblin King lands. The Riverlands, because that's another big... We picked a different river gen mod with currents. But,
I like the currents.
No, the currents are nice. And kind of the more, like, realistic cutting into the erosion and the way it, like, applies to the layers is good. But it's also very funny because we, just came out of winter where all the lakes and rivers were frozen over anyway. Couldn't hardly use the currents. But, I mentioned specialized classes like a long time ago, and we were just wandering around because I happened to find it, I think, when I updated my single player game, and I was like, haven't tried it out because, usually when I'm doing single player, I do commoner no class recipes just because, you're playing by yourself. You want to be able to just do whatever without worrying too much. But I saw specialized classes, and I felt like when I read the mod description that, like, no, this really kind of seemed like it gelled with a lot of the stuff we've talked about, because if you've watched previous episodes of the podcast or watched some streams, because we have streamed or recorded Vintage Story a couple of times as well, though that's tricky because Vintage Story will get in your RAMs, get in your goops, so running it through OBS is tough. But we kind of talked about how, like, the class mods are usually pretty important because the default classes in Vintage Story are pretty specific, I want to say.
They're specific and esoteric in the weirdest ways.
With a lot of vanilla Vintage Story things. So we've been looking for class mods. We've been trying to find the right one. At one point, Lucky threatened to make his own class mod.
I still have the notes.
Yeah, and that might still happen because the underlying one of that is trying to create a focused kind of like X skills plus class mod.
Yes.
Which Specialized doesn't quite do, though it does interact with X skills. But yeah, like I said, I read the descriptions and it felt like it kind of meshed because like the mod author literally has notes like why each class is the way it is, which includes several, comments about being like, I think for like the Tailor being kind of like, yeah, I don't actually know why we need Tailor as a dedicated class, but it's in vanilla, so everybody keeps it in because you need clothing levels. I think it even says in the description on the mod page, like, you could probably just have done this as farmhand for the flax crops, but, here it is anyway, and lots of other little comments like that. So I thought it meshed pretty well, and we have been doing it, and it is a pretty good fit, I want to say, for what we've got going on. We did, because we don't have that many people in the server, we did also find a multi-class mod to install, so you can do bloop.
We did,
but yeah, that's been like very effective and efficient, and not, I don't want to say exactly game-breaking, like, lots of little, like, tech tree shortcuts, but only effective because we have a decent number of people.
Yeah.
Like our Arc, one of Arc's classes was able to jump everybody to Trunks, like, really early with just firewood, which was nice, but, like, I don't think broke the game, just giving us, nice double-wide storage day one, basically. As the Blackguard, which is melee focus plus blacksmithing, like, I've never needed a set of tongs because one of my class abilities is just the ability to pick up piping hot crucibles and, things fresh out the forge with my bare hands. That's funny, but, like, doesn't actually, like, break anything in game. It just means that, like, I have an extra step I don't have to do when I'm, mass producing metalworks.
Yeah.
It is also very funny, though, Chad. I do love just gripping a piping hot 1200 degree crucible filled with liquid copper and just, like, dumping it out. Take a little sippy. But no, it's very fun, and like you said, lots of great cross-mod linking. Not just to X skills, but also, like, accounts for primitive survival, combat overhaul, culinary artillery, all that stuff. Lots of good wombo combos.
No, it's great. So it's real fun. Like, I'm enjoying it. Lucky that the thing where I unfortunately do almost every time, and I try to feed people. Like, I don't know why, but that's what I default to a lot of the time.
You like to grow food.
I do like to grow food.
I mean, listen, God knows it's been effective. I think I said this. I literally finished off the last of the food you gave me for winter as winter ended. Like, it was perfectly timed.
Yep. And now you're gonna get a fucking vegetable avalanche. Don't you worry. The flax is coming. I'm just waiting until I get my well-rested bonus to fund that. So we're about to hit, generational wealth of flax.
Sick. Maybe depending on how long this episode takes, I can fit my giant-ass windmill. Fibers for days. Also more grain.
But
or pie.
More grain. Make your bread. But, yeah, but that's the great thing is, like, mostly I'm just enjoying going around, building up my ranch, trying to find more dragons. I am not doing so great on the dragon edge, unfortunately. I have only a 33% success rate in raising dragons right now, and it's not great. It's not great. It's very upsetting. Because Draconis, which is my favorite mod, has 4 types of dragons out there. The Maple Wing, the Bone Snapper, the Stormweaver, and the Coppertail. You have to basically go out into the world and find them, and then, raise them. And for some odd reason, I've been very unlucky with finding eggs, and when I do, things have just been fucking killing them. I got an egg, it just vanished into the fucking ether one day. Don't know what happened to that. Aaron was kind enough, being our god, was kind enough to give me another egg to cover the fact. And then that one just fucking died. It died last night. Everyone else had fucking... Well, not everyone else. Aaron was still on, but most of the people logged off. It's just me and Aaron. I just come across, the baby dragon corpse in my field, and I'm just all like, no!
What did you ever figure out what did it? Like, did the Tanukis target it?
I don't know.
Was it an orc? We also have fantasy creatures installed in, which is, like, sometimes tedious, but also has been useful. Like, genuinely, I don't know if Saker being our member of the Discord community, Probably seen him in some comments and stuff, but he's also in the Vintage Stray server. He's our tanner. I don't think he would have gotten the generational wealth of leather kickstarted, which is very important, by the way. Leather is one of the materials that you need so fucking much of in Vintage Story, and he has been providing us so fucking much leather, which is, like, thank God. Not only did it, like, sort out our storage for a good long time, but also just, like, I've been able to do lots and lots of armor crafting, you know, because I can just stick metal plates and leather jerkins for brigandines and stuff without having to craft full plates for everybody, which people don't even want. But also, that means I don't have to individually hammer out 10,000 sets of chain. It's Vintage Story is, if you don't know, Vintage Story started as a Minecraft mod. We've mentioned it before on the channel, but if this is your first time hearing it, it started as a Minecraft mod, so it's all voxel-based, but it's very in-depth. You have to, you know, you don't just cook your ore blocks in a furnace. You have to, you know, smelt them in a crucible, turn them into ingots, put the ingots in a forge, heat them up in the forge, hammer it on your anvil, all of which is, like, voxel-based interactions. You know, you have to hammer them into the correct shape. And some of those shapes suck ass. Very tricky shapes. But, like, you need a lot of leather, so he's been producing so much leather. If we didn't have skeletons for him to kill for limestone, like, it would have been a little bit before he got started on that lime water. There were probably a couple of times when I would have been at risk of starving if I couldn't, you know, kill orcs and steal their red meat. But also, the spawn rate's a little bit fucked. And it's not just fantasy creatures. I was yelling about this in all chat earlier today. I feel like our rift activity is either calm or apocalyptic. There is no in-between.
It does feel that way, yes.
Like, there are so many times where I will just, let me look out my front door, open up, breathe in the day. There's 4 fucking portals outside my house. There are 10,000 demons on my doorstep. You know, sometimes I crack my door to go outside and work on my project and, like, 4 drifters dogpile in. Like, it's rough sometimes. So, like, that, I don't know if that's fantasy creatures on its own or just, like, the way it is. But there's some nasty shit out there who could pick some fights with dragons.
Yeah. So, not entirely sure, but like I said, Aaron was kind enough to give me another Stormweaver egg, and this time I'm gonna give it enough room so I can just hide it in the little nursery until it's big enough to probably survive an attack. I've also spent all day, like, reinforcing area, putting fences up so things can't just show up. It's been working, although I do think I need more lights. I know Omega's, like I said, being our big smith, has been pumping out the lanterns, and I probably need a few more, but
I think I got at least
it is
one extra copper in the bin. In the out, if you didn't pick one single, because I think you probably grabbed the 2 I left out already. I ended up making one more, so there might be one more in there.
Oh, nope, Ark says not anymore.
Oh, okay, Ark got it.
Yeah.
Ark cleaned out the chest. That's okay. Light's very important. Honestly, the bottleneck to light is candles, but hopefully it's
like I said, I
springtime.
just squeezed I'm squeezing some honey right now. We're gonna get generational amounts of wax. We will not have to worry about fucking candles.
I think our previous candle source was Aaron is our spelunker, is his primary job, which is, you know, mining, digging through rocks, stuff like that. I shouldn't say quarrying because quarrier is a different job, but, like, also gives him bonuses to panning. So I think most of the candles I've turned into lanterns have come from him sifting through, 5 million parcels of bony soil.
Now, we can use resins and fats, but those have other uses, so it's...
No, fat's very important. I mean, I should double... do you use rendered fat? I got a lot of that left over for my... What I don't have is a lot of, like, flax twine to do for wicks, so...
Oh, you don't need wicks. I mean, you don't need that.
You don't need a wick?
You can do it with ropes. You can do it with peat.
Well, now that it's...
You can do it with...
Now that it's spring, all my cattails are growing back, so I could do some more rope.
The thing that probably stopped you is you need, like, seed oil and stuff.
True. That's... Yeah. I don't have a lot of fuel to... Basically, again, you have a crafting grid like Minecraft, so the way you make these things is usually you need, like, a fuel, to kickstart it, and then you need the base that burns. Obviously, making them out of animal fat, tallow is one of the ways you historically made candles. It's either tallow or beeswax, but you should have a wick and then dip it in something. If I could dip ropes in something, but yeah, I wouldn't have seed oil. I would need another fuel.
Yeah, let me see here.
I'll look at the recipes later, maybe. But like I said, I haven't needed too many candles. I've been making do on my own and just making oil lamps with my so many.
Oh wait, no, it's not. It's not fat. It's either resin or beeswax, and I think
okay. So
resin.
you need resin or beeswax for like the waxy material.
And then it's a bucket with some sort of oil in it, 3 ropes, and then 2 pieces of peat. Oh, Psycho just got on.
The Pete and stuff in the field. Yeah, I think you just said in the vintage story here he's going to hop on. Vintage story, lots of fun, but sometimes very finicky. But yeah, light level is important. I usually don't mind. There are some times when I'm just like, what? Usually, I think with modded voxel items, some of these recipes are a little crazy. You ever looked at how a latch for a latch crossbow works? It's a little weird.
I've never actually made one. No,
that one's a weird one. That one took me a while to work through. So like they're a little goofy. Forging my iron anvil out of 2 halves that were 5 ingots each was just like a lot of fucking metal to move around. So much so that I like hit the cap of like you can't put more ingots on it until you move them to a lower layer, kind of a thing. And it's like, oh shit, okay. Like heavy duty working. But still very, very funs. And God knows I've been doing so much. I'm like, speaking of X skills, I think I'm like level 21 metalworking.
Oh jeez.
Like I think I'm going to end up like before too long having literally every skill you can have in metalworking.
A Tanuki got in my house. You need to get out, leave.
You should tell the Tanuki story. That one's crazy. That's taken several periods to explain this. Our raccoon dogs are from Critters, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, they're not vanilla.
Because we have regular ass raccoons. Those are vanilla, but specifically Tanuki's the common raccoon dog.
Stone Age mod. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. So the Tanuki story. So Lucky and his ranch has about anywhere between like 5 to 15. No, it's more than 5. Like 10 to 15 raccoon dogs running around. I just give them the run of the place. What has happened is what happens with so many creatures in Vintage Story is they accidentally got trapped in my charcoal pit. This happens more than I want to admit for various reasons.
Charcoal burning, very important in Vintage Story. The most efficient way to do it is to build a, a 3x3x3-ish square in the ground and fill it with firewood. When the firewood is not in the charcoal pit, what is it, chat? Just a pit.
It's a pit. It's just a pit. And things fall in the pit. And somehow, I'm not sure how, at one point, some raccoon dogs fell in there. And one was pregnant. So it had a bunch of kids. Then ducks and chickens fell into the pit, and the raccoon dogs ate them, and then they got pregnant again. So I had basically 3 generations of raccoon dogs in this fucking pit. I would look in that pit, and I would just see them having the fucking zoomies. It's like a 3x3x3 pit. And I could just look down there, like 10 raccoon dogs just running around. Anytime something like a chicken would fall in there, you would just see all of them attack the chicken, and it's like some sort of savage animal display, and it was fucking nuts. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these raccoon dogs. This is a lot of ass fucking raccoon dogs. So here's a funny story. It's like, we're actually in an alternate timeline right now. Because, Omega burnt down his house.
I goofed. I burned down my entire house. It was all wood, and all my storage vehicles were wood, which contained all of our mineral wealth, basically. Not literally all, but it was bad. Don't worry, I fixed that design flaw.
Yeah. And we had to roll back the server. Omega didn't want to rebuild everything. So we're like, okay, we'll roll back the server. Roll back a little bit further than we was expecting, but in the original timeline, I decided I'll just kill all the raccoon dogs and I'll give the pellets to Psyker and he can do stuff with them. When I did that, I felt super bad. I was like, oh, I'm a little sad right now. And then, we fucking Steingate this shit. We go to a different world line. The fucking raccoon dogs are alive. And I was like, nay, they will live. And so I got them out, scooted them out, and then I put a fence around the pit and the charcoal and the fire pits because animals are dumb. They will walk into fire, get hurt, and continue walking into fire. I lost another raccoon dog that way. It was a little silly.
The joke I like to make mostly about the wild sheep and goats, but I think it applies to most Vintage Story animals, is, if you've never heard the adage, sheep are looking for 2 things in life, a hole in the fence and a place to die. And that is truly how Vintage Story animals are. As we said, they will just jump full tilt into charcoal pits. They will jump into your pit kilns if they're not protected. They will jump into your cook fires. They'll swim up your waterfalls. So they're not smart. You learn a lot about animal safety.
No. And basically, over the winter, I enjoyed the companies of, several raccoon dogs. You can see them, like, if you go to my ranch, you can see them running around. I do not know how many are still left. I don't know why. Some of them seem to be dying, and some of them seem to just vanish. I don't know why. I don't know, maybe it's just animals despawning, maybe they got into a weird plague. But there seem to be still several here, at the very least. But yes, I'm finding the Generation 4s. What happened to, like, the Generation 2s? Yeah, that's a Generation 4. That's a Generation 3. Yeah, they're about. Anyways, I do think that I am going to eventually move them into their own separate pen, probably on my ranch's second terrace. Because I basically want to use them for duck and chicken control, because basically on my second turn list, I don't know how they get there. There's a fuck ton of chickens and ducks, and they're constantly trying to get in my greenhouses so they can eat my food. I can't let them do that. And it doesn't matter how many of them I kill.
That was a V3 Two Bears Rivers problem, where you just discovered infinite ducks, with you listed as their owner because they were in your fucking blueberry patch.
Yes. So, speaking of which, I think the blueberries are, what I planted of blueberries are done. And we can get started on making syrup and stuff. And die. Yeah. This is something that has changed with the research thing. Like, this is our first time playing Vintage Story after the new major patch, with the upgrade to metalworking and other such things. And they also reworked how berry bushes work, and I'm not a fan of it, because before the game, which was, a little, cheap, I can kind of understand why they reworked it. But you could just pick up blueberry bushes, slap them down. They work, they just work.
You just steal the berry wholesale. There were mods that let you do, like, cuttings to, like, multiply your berry bushes in the wild, but yeah, you would just pick them up and take them. I guess kind of like to compensate for the fact that they did not in vanilla have seeds for berries.
Yeah. Now you have to basically take a cutting from a berry bush and then plant that cutting. And that cutting takes like 60 days to, an hour server. It takes like 60 days to grow if it's in like good soil. That's a whole ass season, because our months are like 20 days long. It takes 3 whole ass months, and if it gets cold, they just stop growing. So you gotta be quick with that. And also, once you take a cutting from a particular bush, you cannot take another cutting it for a year. Literal 12 months. So it's getting your berry production so you can do stuff like, berry syrups and stuff. It's kind of a pain. Yeah. But like I said, the greenhouse is, like I said, I was able to get a lot of berry bushes early thanks to rest of the guys gathering them for me. And
basically, yeah, actually, they made all fruit the same. Like, there was already kind of this involved system with, like, fruit tree saplings where you had to, like, take cuttings and see if they take root and see if they die in the winter and whatever, and, like, multi-generational shit. And now berry bushes are the same way. And, like, on the one hand, it's consistent. On the other hand, it's very annoying when you just want to eat some fucking fruit in your diet. There is a nutrition pyramid system. Okay, my egg still isn't hatched yet. All this tug of Vintage Story, I logged in to check on my egg. It's not hatched yet. I'll pop out.
Actually, that reminds me.
Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to log back in for real tonight because the machine which runs Vintage Story, because of its extra juice, is also my machine which renders video. So, I won't be back.
You'll not be back.
That's okay. I logged in a couple of times today and, worked through. Being the metalworker is, like, it's a very important job. Obviously, like, the other people on the server played in a Vintage Story, they can do some of their own smithing. I know that for sure that both Lucky and Saker have small setups to, repair and assemble their own tools, run some basic, smithing. And nothing would probably stop either of them from, continuing to upgrade anvils and stuff, other than that it would be probably not as efficient and would take up, more space in their places, whereas I have already used the space in my place to build rows and rows of crates and shelves and resource bins filled with metal ores, and, like, I've already made all the fucking ingot molds and all that shit, I've already fused together the iron anvil, which, like I said, was actually a project. Already have, the whatchamacallit, the, alloying the bins, put all that stuff together, work through all our iron blooms, I have the X skills to use bloomeries for glass and iron without needing to constantly break them down, which is good because you do use a lot of fire clay that way.
Mm-hmm. lay down for sleep, and then I'm gonna go harvest fucking everything. But no, like I said, we've just completed the year. We're in year 2. Everything's great. We got greenhouses. We got animals. I turned into a milkman. It was great.
Complete with bottles with corks. That's what I said when you dropped it out. Like, oh shit, real bottles. Just like
it really helps with.
Listen, we're advancing our technology for sure. Ark took over potionry and has been collecting a wide variety and running out a few of those. We're at the metalworking stage. Like, honestly, the only reason why we're probably not getting too deep into the like higher level work of like building a beehive kiln and steel crucibles is just like I am taking a lot of care to do this build very correctly now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm building a standalone brick building, which is at like a 90-degree angle from my house. Which, by the way, I built a literal firewall. I insulated the bottom level with cobblestone. Because I am still using pit kilns to fire all my fucking bricks, but we're making bricks, and that will I'm like about halfway done with the coke oven, which will be step 1, and then we'll work on probably the beehive kiln, and then probably the steel crucible, because we've also not entirely because the first couple you guys found on foot, but Dragon Reconnaissance is amazing for spotting meteors. So we are literal generational wealth of meteoric iron.
That's
like,
great.
One of the mods we have installed is called Blush and Bins. One of the things you can build is a workbench. I love the workbench. It's great. It has, gear racks. It has tool racks. You can put stuff on top of the workbench. I think I have just like 3 pieces of tin solder like laid out there. Because I needed them for something. I don't remember which project. Stuff like that. But they also have drawers you can pop out. And you can keep firewood on the bottom shelf. But each drawer has 6 spaces. Each 6 space holds 16 ingots. So I store all my ingots in there. I have a drawer that is literally nothing but meteoric iron. And it is almost entirely full. Still, this is after everybody who wanted one has a meteoric iron like tool. I think I've given everybody currently active on the server meteoric iron weapons. I built Lucky because he dug up the current excess of the meteoric iron, like a complete, goodie, even more. Well, I mean, at some point, Saker will need meteoric iron plate, and I think Loth said he wants to go heavy as well, so we'll have to make a couple of sets of plate armor, which will actually be a little labor-intense, too, but again, we'll work on that when we work on that. I'll probably spend a lot of time hammering when we watch Predator tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, like, I've built you an entire meteoric iron brigandine set.
I'm gonna ask for a second one as soon as I get enough scorched dragon leather, as soon as I fucking find them. They're hiding from me.
And again, that's great. Also, very funny that we're at this level, because I think I've told you this story before, but I'll tell everybody listening to the podcast this story. So if you don't know, there's a reason why those are called Scorched Dragons. In one of Rubik's Raptor's RP server series, a vintage story, Ren, the fantasy one, they had fantasy creatures. This includes dragons, goblins, orcs, etc. They also found them very helpful for the gear economy, and definitely at one point, Rubik's and the dwarves were just eating orc meat. They had different mods installed they had to take out. They had to take out Rustbound because it was stupid as hell. But that's a great shot in like one of the early videos where one of the elves goes, "Oh, you guys have been killing and eating orcs for food? We have to fight horrible monsters that drop doors when we kill them, and we can't eat those." And Rubik's goes, "Of course you can't. They're made of doors." But at one point, they started a new castle, and it's for the humans, the factions, which was mostly Rubik's and his buddy Scorch. So, Scorch with just, I think, either a iron greatsword or a meteoric iron greatsword, goes out, because the dragons are attacking their buddy Merchant, and he's like, it's a great scene, look it up if you haven't, but it's like burned in my memory. Rubik's is like looking out over the gravel outside of their ruined castle they're refurbishing, going, "I think those dragons are attacking our merchant, Quill." And Scorch goes, "Oh, well, I fuck with Quill, so that ain't gonna stand," and then runs out into the night and basically solo kills 2 dragons by himself in, like, half-busted Forlorn Hope armor with a greatsword, a medium-tier greatsword. So, the designer, the mod maker of Fantasy Creatures took this as a challenge, which is why they improved to the Ruby Dragon and then the Scorched Dragon, which are supposed to be tough enough to actually have some teeth against Scorch. And it turns out that the March of Technology has won again. as Lucky has killed at least one.
Well, I mean, I fucking cheesed it. I didn't go in no melee with it. No, I shot it from a dragon back with a fucking crossbow.
It's a legitimate strategy. If that motherfucker... Listen, those guys have health bars, and up until you started killing them, the other players were like, oh shit, he's fucking chasing me! Like, they'll come after you. So, like, that's his problem. And we haven't even invented guns yet. Like, that's on my project list to start hammering out probably a couple of gun barrels, you know. Get myself maybe an arquebus or a pistol. I do have a longbow, and it's been pretty effective, but... I am also a heavy armor character, and my accuracy with a longbow gets a little sketchy in heavy armor. Something that, you know, one powerful shot to open the volley is probably what we'll go for. But you know, I needed to find a steady supply of sulfur to brew into gunpowder. So I'll start, you know, making some blunderbusses for home defense for when the monsters fucking spawn in my attic. We're up to we've like I said, we've been going for a whole year, so we're up to heavy temporal storms. So some motherfuckers will show up in your house depending on your like light levels and spacing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, we are not even doing the broken thing. I'm hoping we can. Actually, no, I won't actually. Even if we get to steal, we won't. I'll insist we tackle the archive before we get to steal weaponry. We're already probably going to cheese that guy a little bit. But
yeah.
I won't be making us any muskets to fucking run the Eidolon's fate or anything.
Yeah, Omega, I just finished harvesting our first year of flax. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stacks of flax fibers. Full stacks at that.
The god of the harvest be praised. Fuck you, winter.
Yes, when you come in tomorrow, we will get you your fucking giant ass sails. Also, you're gonna have to make me one so I can put it on my fucking Wimma.
Don't you worry, baby. I've been blooming iron for a reason.
No, but
absolutely, I have the iron bars to turn into plates for that shit.
And I got to get people sewing kits because
some of my clothing is definitely worn through after the winter.
Yeah, so
and we'll need to patch our fur clothing, which I've all taken off and put out in their little storage drawers because we have purposeful storage installed because it's fucking rad. It's so funny, but I got this opinion from Rubik's Raptor, but I agree with him. Vintage Story is like the weirdest, most cozy video game to like be in an apocalypse to. Like, it fucking sucks out here, you know, there's demons on my front lawn, there's dragons out there, you know, there's time warping shit that'll make you go insane, there's lightning strikes that'll kill you dead, you know, fire is like abysmal, our geology is really interesting. We're on an area where there are a lot of like deep pit caverns, so like there are just holes in the ground that plummet down, you know, probably like 100 fucking meters. Which are also, by the way, usually full of demons.
Yep.
Even more demons. Every single, I think, translocator we've gone to has spawned us, you know, somewhere else underground that's just fucking abysmal. I didn't mention it, but I did say that I had a translocator near my place that I hadn't done. I actually fired that one up. Yeah, no, it leads to a cave embedded in like a deep basalt layer in the middle of fucking nowhere. I think it's not quite the same middle of nowhere far to the north because it's like in the ocean. But I could see 2 islands on the surface. But, like, yeah, no, deep under the ocean in the middle of nowhere. So, like, it sucks. But when it doesn't suck, like, it's a little cottagecore simulator. You fucking cook your own food. Lucky hit me up with some chickens, so I've got eggs now. Put them in a little coop. I made myself scrambled eggs and wild mushrooms for breakfast in-game one day at, like, 4 a.m. The sun was finally coming up, you know, because we're just getting into spring. Boy, let me tell you, winter, dark. The sun would fucking set at like, you know, 6 or 7 p.m. and it wouldn't come back until like 5 a.m. Dark as dicks, cold, snowy, everything frozen. So like to finally get back to like spring and everything be green and alive and you look out, I open up my back doors and I stand on my deck with my little wind chime going and I just look out at my unfrozen lakefront property and go, it's the sun. I eat my eggs and mushrooms. Like, it's comfy. It's great. And I love all the little mods for, like, little things. Like I said, purposeful storage. I have a shoe rack, and I have a glove rack by my front door. What do I keep on there? My winter boots and gloves now that it's spring. In my bedroom, I have a comfy bed, and I have a wardrobe. Actually, I think I have an ancient bed. But I have a high-tier bed. At the foot of my bed, there's a fucking set of cabinets, because you can make cabinets in this game. On top of the cabinets, my lantern. I have a pot for steeping herbal teas overnight in my bedroom. I also have a rack to keep all my swords. Below my bedroom is my study, which is filled with my, cartography desk and my enchanting table and my collectibles display. What's on top of my collectibles display? Blanket rack. Pants rack. More racks for more things. Got a little tuning cylinder rack because, there's primitive phonographs in this game, so you can play the really cool, by the way, soundtrack. I have jammed out writing tabletop before. I've written some Rain to the Vintage Story soundtrack before. It's great. So it's cool. It's cozy. I've talked about it before, but we'll mention it again. The sound design is so good. The rain sound is really, really solid. Especially you hear rain underwater or rain through trees, wind whipping through. And like we said, we've got a wind chime mod added, which also adds some great sounds, little crystal chimes. It's just a great, time to just sit in, and you often find yourselves, whiling away the hours. Like I said, as the metal worker, I will spend, literal real life hours, days in game, just, pouring in front of the forge fire, slamming coal, pumping the bellows. I throw some of that shit on Helvey, my Helv hammer. I refer to Helvey as another person because I bought the X Skills perk called Machine Learning so that my automated Helv hammer gets some of my perks. Occasionally it will duplicate things. I only ever have Helvey working on plates or arrowheads, so it's all pretty simple. But I've got a windmill going, which makes windmill noises, and the crusher and the Helv hammer tinking away in the background. You spend some time working. Actually, something I was going to say earlier that I forgot was, as usual, there are times when I felt a little, I think I even said something to this effect to Loth, a little bummed out by everybody else going out and seeing cool ruins, and I know you felt a little bummed as well, but since you've been a Dragonback, you've been able to really stretch those wings and get some ground covered.
Oh yeah.
See some cool shit. So I'm hoping when my, eventually my own dragon shall hatch and grow up and be covered in leather, and it'll be it's just very time efficient to go flying, so you'll be able to just get out there. I have a horse, I have a tamed horse, I have a stable, saddlebags and all that. That's pretty good for doing quick deliveries between the player neighborhood, but even traversing farther than that is tricky because you can do a decent amount of Skyrimming, but unlike Skyrim, I don't really want to take my horse off a cliff because my horse will die, and that would be sad. Even if it's a virtual animal I could replace, it would still suck to, shatter all my horse's bones running off a cliff. And boy, there'd be some mountains. So, Ariel will be very good for that. Because I do like exploring and looking around in Vintage Story and finding cool stuff, even if it's just ooh, look at this weird tapestry, or hey, we found some weird fucking pants. And I appreciate that, the Bling Fairy occasionally just leaves me weird things in my chest. You just open up and go, ooh, what the fuck is this? Translocator diagram?
The Bling and Junk Fairy just visits the middle of the night.
I know streaming's tough. I should actually see, maybe that can be a funny little video. I could probably crop that vertical for a short. Could do a little tour of my workshop and throw that on the channel maybe. If people are interested, let me know if you'd like to see some random drive-by videos of Vintage Story. Like I said, I've seen other streamers doing big servers of Vintage Story and seen VTubers and stuff reacting to Jay's Vintage Story videos recently. So I think they're growing in size. They're getting bigger, which is cool for them. Good for success. I think the next big update's gonna be to combat. They're even bringing on some of the modders behind stuff like Combat Overhaul to put some of that stuff in vanilla.
Maltese actually has joined their group of Loba. He's actually been working on their modding back half to streamline that system. But Maltese is one of the big guys in the community who does a fuck ton of work. I mean, a fuck ton of work.
Yeah, I don't agree with everything about Combat Overhaul, but it's got a decent framework, and they try to balance out some stuff. Some stuff I hope we don't take too strong in vanilla, leave that for modded. But they're talking about working on hitboxing, and I'm just love to see what that looks like. Hitboxes are a little weird. But yes, like I said, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see. I can see about setting up some, probably no commentary, but I can always throw subtitles in them. I could do some shorts or even longer form videos of just random tours of places. That's like I said about the comfy thing. That's the other half of block and build games is just seeing the cool builds. Like, my place, I intentionally designed as, like, kind of a warehouse. I literally threw my bedroll in, like, the first ruin I found because it had a torch holder. Torch holders are lost technology until you get to at least the brass tier, the Bronze Age, basically. Alloying metals. So, like, yeah, I found an ancient torch holder, so I was like, I need to stay here. And I just built, a big warehouse. Just rows and rows, and it's got, storage all on the ground floor. I've got my workshop, dug into the mountainside, all covered over with cobblestone and rammed earth. I built, like, my cellars and my first living area into the basement under it. Then you go up a level, and you go into, I jokingly called it the clock tower, but it's the windmill, with the one giant gear. That's where all my automation is running. I got a back deck, and with a pantry. Sure reminds me. Need to extend the roof of the back deck, actually. Because need to cover it over better. Because it's like out 3, but the roof trim's only 1 out. You get a little more, because it got covered with snow over winter, and that sucked. Nothing sucks more than when your back deck is snowed in, chat. But, you go up into the clock tower, and then I've got, like an attic space for managing other stuff. Like, I actually have a little kitchen area up there. I have storage. I have a study with, like, workbenches and storage. And then I have a little attic loft, because I don't actually need much space for me. Just enough space to throw a couple of racks and chests and a bed. My windmill/clock tower will get even more fucked up soon, because even though I'm going to install the big scary 8-fold rotor, I'm probably going to use the other normal rotor I have to fucking run up another set of sails, just reuse the windmill rotor another 10 up, or I'll install the reinforced one higher up, maybe. Actually, that's probably better. The higher up you are, the better wind power you get usually, right?
Right.
So I'll put my best rotor on the second tier. Finish out that build. Okay. I'm gonna have to build a fucking, castle or mini fort for landing and taking off of dragons. I'm building a foundry for heavy duty smelting projects.
All right, Kaide is lighted up with vegetables, grains, and sewing kits. We're heading out.
Nice.
I like how much Kaide is a character just as much. I demand that everyone who visits says hi to Kaide and give her a compliment, and people do it. It gives me joy every time.
Yeah, honestly, like a couple of times when you haven't been in VC tonight, I've seen you fly by. I'm like, I don't think we have emotes, but I'd love to be able to just slash wave.
Yeah.
Can we slash? Because I feel like that's what I would do. I see you and Kaide come by, and I would just be like, slash wave. And you started a trend. Everybody's naming their dragons in Japanese now. I don't know if my Maple Wing's going to be male or female yet, so I'll have to figure it out.
Should name them Aki.
Red.
Let's see here. And then...
But Vintage Story, fun. So we will once again, if you like, survival craft 'em block 'em games, you can get lost in Vintage Story. Like it's a wonderful game to try out, and there's a lot of stuff, and there's surprisingly some deep stuff. And at some point we may even consider because I know there's mods out there to add new ores and get even higher tiers past steel.
Oh, is there? I never saw about the steel ones.
Yeah, I could look at I should double check my mod list. I've seen a couple of some stuff. They're a little Terraria-y, ores that are very blue or very reddish color when they're done. But adding some new materials that are supposed to be tier beyond steel, need steel tools to mine to make, and kind of a thing. That's still, I won't push for that right now in this server though, because one, we'd have to do chunk exploring to find them, but also having done it before, steel making, very involved process. I described it, I think, on the 14 stream because I was asked about it. Because I was talking about coffins. But it might have been a different stream. But basically, it's the old style crucible steel method. So what you do is you literally build a stone coffin, or you find them in the wild. You open up a grate below it, which you pack with coal to heat up. You alternatively layer the coffin with iron ingots and coal, charcoal usually, for the carbon. You seal that bitch up, you light it on fire, and you wait for basically the carbon to bake into the iron, and it becomes crucible steel. So it's a process that takes a while, even when you're feeding it with coke, because that's what I'm probably going to finish building first, because it's the simplest structure is build a coke oven.
They are easy.
Yeah, they're pretty simple. I'm working on smithing the refractory bricks. And I have, literally 800 brown coal. I know where, loads and loads more is, so we're just going to do that. It's literally going to be built into the wall of the foundry. But yeah, no, there's a lot of fun you can have. Anything else to say about Vintage Story? Any other funny stories or things we've seen? Seen some killer better ruins this server.
Honestly, no. Like, the game is very pretty, just no matter what. Like, I love flying around on Dragonback and just I took Kaede through a fucking river tunnel. It was great.
The river tunnels are great just in general, but yeah, like, amazing shit you can pull off from the sky. I know, they do some very pretty...
Honestly, Blacklist, that actually reminds me of how bronze works in our game, because we have 3 different bronzes all at the same tier, but there are 3 different levels of durability, because we have 10 bronze, bismuth bronze, and black bronze, each requiring their own alloys. 10's bronze is the weakest durability, but is generally a lot easier to make, while black bronze is the strongest durability, but requires, rare metals. And bismuth bronze right in the middle.
It's actually, because I looked it up to see. It's funny that I think they call it bismuth bronze because it is the bronze tier. I think the more common name for that alloy is bismuth brass, but you can use bronze or brass basically interchangeably, like in the ancient world, because they're similar, but not quite the same. But yeah, I also actually... I read some comments at the point. I don't think they'll do it that way because of how it is, but the funny thing is that iron is, considered a higher tier than bronze. That's not actually true in real life. Bloomed iron is not as hard as properly alloyed bronze. It's just one material and more energy efficient to make than bronze. In real life, we had the Bronze Age collapse and then the Iron Age because... as some of you may remember from History of the World, there's this place called Tinland. My dealer won't tell her where he gets it. Well, guess what? When your dealer fucking dies and won't tell you where to get more tin, you got to find a solution. So people figured out how to work iron. Steel is better than bronze in real life, but is a much more significant technology jump. But yeah, bismuth bronze is real. Black bronze is also real. I even think I made some allusions to it in Rain as well, because metallurgy's fun and we love fantasy metals and stuff, but there are historical records of, I think the Greeks called it like heptzion or something, of a like black bronze or black brass that is indeed, Lucky alluded to it, but the recipe for black bronze is copper, gold, and silver all at once, and this does actually make kind of a black or purplish metal alloy. And it is overall the best durability. We did score some silver and gold, and I made some black bronze tools, some of which have lasted a very, very long ass time. And then you upgraded to iron tools, which are also lasting a long ass time, and some have upgraded to meteoric iron tools, which meteoric is also like a 0.5 tier.
Yeah.
Which is also, by the way, true in real life. That's actually another thing. Normally iron is, an ore in real life. It's in the rock. You don't usually find what's called telluric iron, pure iron. This is another thing I've referenced in the mythology of Rain. But one of your sources of pure metallic iron in history, especially before they could get to how to bloom it and refine it, meteorites. That shit is just pure elemental iron, and it's actually is very tough, very sharp, very durable. And also to let you know just how interconnected history is, because history is cool. Though you probably know that because you're watching a podcast that's ostensibly about FGO, but also really got around. I'd have to check where the source is, but in King Tut's tomb, he had some meteoric iron daggers, which is way pre the Iron Age in ancient Egypt. They were working with bronze tools mostly. But I think they checked those, and I believe they came from probably Germany. The ancient world was a lot more interconnected than you thought, and you would go a long way for deposits of meteoric iron. Thunderbolt iron, as it was called sometime. But vintage story, cool. Thumbs up.
Very cool.
And we've been holding that one in for a few weeks, but I think we're settled in. But if that is about it, we've crossed the 2-hour mark. We can talk about a few more things.
Yeah.
One of which is the other video game that at least Lucky and I are obsessed with. We're still playing Star Wars Outlaws.
I'm a little surprised, but I'm still here.
Yeah, no. You'd think that, an Ubisoft-ass open-world game with 4,000 map icons might lose us a little bit. I know, Lucky, you've played some of the newer Assassin's Creed, and they're not bad, but I think you've said that they are kind of formulaic.
Yeah.
So this is definitely in that similar formula, but is doing a little bit of its own thing, and it is generally kind of fun. Like, I think there are some rough edges. Like, for as much as the game forces you into combat, there are a decent number of forced alarms. The combat itself isn't, like, super polished, but, you know, you can duck and cover and you can shoot. I feel like I really want Kay to have, like, a one-button dodge roll as a kind of like a double tap.
Yeah.
But that's like a small thing. I do also wish I could keep reloading my fucking missile launchers and grenade launchers, but again, that's just a me problem.
I don't know, that's also a fucking... I'm dying. I'm like, why do I keep tossing away these guns?
Some really cool space guns. Kay, do you know how many people I've stolen from? You're not so broke that you couldn't afford to reload this fucking gun.
That's all, like, they literally have weapon racks full of these weapons. Just take some fucking power packs. That's all you gotta do, Kay.
Hell, I mean,
like,
it's for the most part, it's
no, my
supposed to
gun
be
is
universal
vintage.
My God, your pistol is vintage.
And
listen, and it's a pretty spicy pistol when you put all the modules in. Like, you know, you can get the rapid fire for, like, you know, straight up become auto fire gun. You can get the ion setting, get the power module to literally shoot exploding bolts.
It is very,
but it's still just a pistol.
No, like, again, like, I don't want to be using a pistol as a sniper rifle, which, you know, I kind of have to do sometimes. I'm all like, I'm not about it, guys.
No, pistol sniping's not great, and, like, I'm not necessarily doing, like, an adrenaline build. Like, I'm not picking, like, clothing items to maximize my adrenaline gain or remove my adrenaline loss. But, like, I feel like you can't count on the adrenaline, you know, it's high noon-ass system. Like, it's cool, but at least where I'm at in the game, I can only mark, like, 3 guys anyway. So, like, that's neat. But I have to single them out and mark them in grayscale vision, which is not always great. Actually, that does lead into a conversation point. So, where is you at in the game right now?
Just got Ankh. I love Ankh. She's great.
Yeah.
No, it's like just sassy Chandra fan. Gives lip, takes no shit. I do want to say, I love the inclusion of having her speak just all in Huttese, and just, like, you hear loan words peppered in there. Oh, like hearing her say, like, kid, queen.
Yeah.
And stuff. No, like, whoever, like, they, like, Ubisoft's, like, game mechanics probably isn't great, but I don't think they necessarily ever mess with, like, their vibes. I think it's usually all their, like, game mechanics I usually think people kind of get pissed off about. Like,
no, like, if nothing else, we've said it before, but we'll say it again. If this game was just, you know, you can, not seamlessly, but there is no loading screen, but you can go, you know, space to planet, hyperspace to another planet, get out, take your speeder bike, ride around, you know, play Sabak, whatever. Like, that part's real goo. And all of the characters and the stuff you do in the world feel right. Like, you know, playing a little Fashion Souls with Kay, you know, equipping all your different stuff. So much so that, well, one, I think that I like the survivalist stuff anyway because it makes me die less, but, like, switching to all the, you know, the snow gear for Kajimi, like...
Yeah, no, I was like, I was there, I was, like, still in some of the stuff I got from Tasharon, I'm all like, Kay looks fucking cold, I need to get her some fucking sleeves and some pants.
Kay still said that, she was talking about how it's cold, you know, you idle on, like, the loading ramp, and she'll be like, oh, it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to get to Tatooine and have her do the reverse and be like, oh, it's hot. gonna have to either get some loose fit or, like, shed some layers when we get there. But yeah, no, Ankh's a great character. It was so funny to me to because she's called the Safe Cracker. That's not her. Ankh is the demo woman.
I mean, it still opens up safes.
It is true, but it's like, I feel like the game intentionally pitches her as the Safe Cracker because you're thinking of, like, oh, we're gonna get, like, a better thief than Kay, like, what, some kind of slicer or, like, locksmith? No, we're blowing shit up. And
I love her line, life's too short to have a long fuse. Sometimes you just gotta blow it up.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like, real good stuff.
No, like, I love her so much, and just, like, she just marches to the beat of her own drum. And also, but I also like that she has the line that she doesn't cross. It's like, which is great.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're building up, like, I'm kind of curious to see all the other characters, cause, ND, like, Kay is coming around, like, she still says, and a lot, and if she gets caught in mid something, she still kind of freaks out.
Yeah.
But
I think it is a very strongly recurring element that this girl is in over her head, and the game keeps it that way. Like, I think we talked about this on 14 a little, because we were talking about still playing the game. But, like, you're on Kojimi, you run into fucking Kira, you run into Emilia Clarke from Solo, okay? The boss of, like, the whole Crimson Dawn. You're Kay Vest, who doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. Like, you'd freak a little.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, no... And I think, and like when you're meeting, you know, with like the leader of the fucking Ashika clan, the queen, Kay's kind of like, and I'm all like, you know what, Kay? Fair. I would also be a little like, in that moment.
Kay's really, like, she even talks to ND about it. She's really trying to not fuck it up.
So, like, now that, like, Kay, now that I'm like post Kojimi, seems like she's still, you know, kind of a fuck up, still kind of doesn't know what she's doing, but she's not so insufferably so at the moment. If you guys like can get that, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, she's still got her core character, but she's moving along in the arc. And I will say, I mean, some of it is just like I think it was a line you quoted like maybe last week, or maybe it was a couple weeks ago when we first talked about it. But like somebody just, I think it might be ND5, but somebody else just straight up says like, it's the criminal underworld. If you held grudges, nobody would get anything done. To paraphrase a little.
Well, yeah, no. And I like that because basically at the end of the Safecracker timeline, you have to make a choice between, you know, helping the Ashika clan and helping the Crimson Dawn. And I helped the fucking Ashika clan. Because I know that Emperor's not going to last forever. They'll be fucking fine. This Crimson Dawn shit.
Yeah, I basically made the same choice. Like, it's metagaming a little, but like I said, we're post-Battle of Hoth, pre-Endor, but like we know as Star Wars fans, well, the Empire's not going to be around forever, but I don't know if I trust the Crimson Dawn. Like, doing a little background reading, I double-checked if like the choice like affects anything other than the narrative. Doesn't seem like it. It's just, you know,
I didn't think
reputation go up, reputation go down, but I was just like, I wonder like how this game's going to shake out. And some people were talking about like being pro Crimson Dawn because like it allegedly, like, Kira's running it as kind of, like, you know, an anti-Empire, anti-Sith, like, conspiracy thing. You know.
Yeah.
But...
It's an anti-Empire thing that gives Crimson Dawn all the control. They speak of freedom, but
when
that
you're
freedom
on the
is...
ground, it don't look like that. Like, Kay has that line when you get back to your ship and Kira's just, like, there to tell you no hard feelings, where she's like, you know, I thought I could get you on my side, and Kay's just like, you know, trying to free us. The galaxy's a prison. And she's just like, yeah, what does that look like to, you know, freeing little people like me? What does that mean? I don't get it. I don't understand your grand vision, ma'am.
It's all like, it's like, sounds like we're just, you know, handing over the keys to someone else. I'm all like, nah, Kay, that's good. That was good.
Yeah.
That was a great line. Like, honestly, I love Kay in that moment. She, like...
Yeah. And
so, like...
In that mission, like, as you, like, pop out in the courtyard of the Ashika clan base where there's, like, you know, blown up turrets and dead people on the ground, and Kay actually has, like, a genuine moment of self-reflection. She's, like, talking to ND, and she's just like, Empire, Crimson Dawn, even those rebels, like, they're just, like, using people. And, like, that's... Obviously, we understand the Rebel Alliance are fighting the good fight, but also, I've watched Andor. Like I said, I feel like this game was heavily influenced by the fact that the first season of Andor, like, came out during its development. Kay's not wrong. Rebels have done some fucked up stuff too. In Rogue One, Cassian Andor has a line about, you know, like, he's done terrible things in the name of the rebellion. Like, you can't make an omelet. You can't make a freedom omelet without cracking a few tyranny eggs, okay?
But I think that's the important thing, though, is you have to acknowledge, you know,
Yeah.
you broke some eggs.
Yeah. And like, Kay has that moment talking to ND where she's just like, everybody just uses people, man. It sucks. And ND's like, correct. What are you gonna do about it? Like pushing Kay towards kind of like trying to self-actualize a little. Like, all right, Kay, you understand? The world sucks. I, as a veteran of the Clone Wars, understood this.
Oh God! Like, have you gotten the line where Kay asks, like, you know, what like Indy's about, and he's all like, "I was made to follow orders. I was to kill people who was following a just cause. I was very good at it." And I'm just like, oh.
No, I don't think I've seen that particular bit of dialogue. I do recall an earlier conversation where Kay's like asking him like where he's gone and what he's done. And he's just like, you know, what have you seen? And, you know, and she's just like, I fought in the Separatist Wars, Kay. Like, no. Or another time you like take off and she's like trying to ask him like 20 questions, like, oh, what's the weirdest thing you've ever done? He's like,
let a thief ask me questions without consequence.
and she's just like, what's the weirdest? Okay, fine, whatever. What's the weirdest place you've ever been? He's just like, I don't see any. There's nothing productive about this conversation. Like he just doesn't get it. Like he is your babysitter, but he is now like clearly falling into like your weird uncle role.
Oh no, he's like the grizzled veteran.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love him for that. Like,
No.
and like I maybe we'll find some more people more Kay's age range, but I do also think that girl could use some role models because she still has that thing.
Like I think they're kind of falling because like Ankh is kind of an older character too. She talks about how she had a husband, they lost him she lost him in a bad job. Like she is like she dispenses her own pearls of wisdom and just wrapped in explosives.
Yeah, and like the one thing she can't leave behind when you got to break her out is you got to go get the lucky charm, and that's when you hear she's like, "Oh, my husband made that for me. Haven't botched a job since, except the one he died on." Like,
and Kay's just like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah, and like feels that, but also you kind of feel like Kay's just saying, "Oh, sorry," because she just like realizes that's a thing to say, but also like from her own history, she doesn't quite like get it.
Yeah.
But like that's what I mean. Like you're growing responsibility. So we'll see like if maybe we find like an elder sibling role or anything like that or what. I'm curious to see if the video game will like wrap around like will Kay's mom show back up or what.
Oh, she has to show back up. I feel this. She's gonna show up. We're not gonna be able to get full circle on Kay's development unless she meets her mom again.
No. I wonder. I'm trying to think what it would be. Would it be better if her mom was just like a skeezy criminal, and that's kind of also what pushes Kay to maybe be like more of a noble thief type?
I'm betting. I'm betting her mom's part of the Rebel Alliance right now.
That's the other thing I was going to say. It was like it's either that or it's going to be like Kay, I left you for it to join a good cause. It was dangerous, kind of a thing. Like we're doing good work here, and like I feel like at some point Kay will be in her arc will be ready to be like. I don't know if she'll join the rebellion straight up, but I think there will be a time she reaches where she will be like not mad at the Rebel Alliance, like she will understand the Empire gotta go, but like maybe not want to be part of the fight because it does kind of seem like that's not her thing. Like I've been kind of playing Kay Vess as the person who usually finishes the job she is hired for.
I am too, unless she gets caught like immediately. There's been a couple of jobs I remember I did this one for the Ashiga clan. It was the one that opens up the broker for Mayu, who's adorable. I love Mayu. Yeah. Where you basically go out to the Crimson Dawn area in space, you get their archive, and then fucking Dark calls you and like, "Hey Vess, are you stealing our fucking files?" And you're just like, I
had a pretty good I've had to repair it since then for a couple of reasons, but I had a pretty good relationship with Crimson Dawn, so I was just like, "Listen, I'm finishing the job I was hired for, bye!" And he's just like, he just says, "Tank Ferret K," and like hangs up the phone. Like, he's just like, "Oh, you." But like, I could also see being called out like that and being like, "No, I'm not stealing your archive."
No,
look at my computers. Could you see an archive here?
No, like, I'm pretty good at stealthing areas, so as long as I don't get called out, like, I will complete the job, and like, I've never sold out a contract to like an alternate deal, because that is something fun that you can do. Basically, anytime you finish like a small job, you'll get like an alternate offer, and you can honor the deal or go back. I never swap, even if it's like twice as much money. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I like the concept, but honestly, I feel like the contracts are just there to offset the reputation gain, because like most of your normal contracts pay like 200 credits, 400 credits. That's fucking nothing. That's like one cool part. There might be a gun belt, barely. Like, real money is in winning the Sabak pots and like cracking those treasure vaults. That's where the real shit is.
Yeah, it is.
So that's like I said, I think contracts are mostly to balance out your reputation. Like after I upset the Crimson Dawn, I love getting this call from ND. He's like my robot butler of just being like, "Okay, the Crimson Dawn have called to let you know you're not welcome in their territory anymore." And Kay's just like, "Okay, cool." Then did a couple jobs, get a call back of like, "The Crimson Dawn are willing to let you into their territory as long as you remain friends." And Kay, calls ND back, and she's just like, "How long are we gonna remain friends?" And he's like, "That's up to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." But no, what I was gonna say about Ankh was, Not to blow too much smoke of this game. No, the game is actually fun, but there are some gameplay niggles. There were some moments in that segment with getting Ankh out with the sled again, where, like, she, like, fully breezes past you, and, like, there's a shitload of enemies. Like, I was able to get her moved on, and then I couldn't move on because you can't hack the door until you're out of combat. And it's just like,
it's where she's
there's
on the sled.
A dozen people across a gap from you, and it's just like, boy, sure would be nice if I could use this missile launcher more than, like, twice.
Or I had some sort of scoped weapon.
Yeah.
Also,
if,
yes, I did the kind of same thing. I kind
rifle.
of like ran and scoot with Ankh. Then I get to the door and was like, "You can't hawk this while I'm coming." I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll go back."
Like I said, I think I understand how they, like, patched in to make all stealth runs more possible. There's a lot of forced combat in this game. There are a lot of action set pieces. I can see the DNA where, like, I think this was the same game that, like, the Uncharted Star Wars that was originally pitched to EA started. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the bones of that project. Amy Hennig left Naughty Dog, and, like, shopped around some projects. I think was attached to, like, an EA project that got canceled because the Disney I've talked about before was a little too hands-on with the setting. Wasn't sure about doing any of the cool stuff with kind of, like, the sequel or interquel eras. And then the project kind of, like, got shopped around until the exclusivity ran out. And I think that ultimately turned into Outlaws as an actual Ubisoft game. But, like, I think they want to do, like, the Uncharted, like, fight 9 million dudes areas. But Kay's not as cool as Nathan Drake. Like, Nathan Drake's kind of a loser scumbag, in most of the games. But, like, he can shoot a gun, he can throw a punch. Like... And boy, howdy, can he take cover. Kay is, like, a little loosey-goosier in that. She has a few more tools than Nathan does usually. Like I said, you can configure your blaster a couple different ways. You can ion blast droids to blow them up. You've got a recharging stun shot to instantly incapacitate, I think, anybody if you hit him. Like, that kind of thing. So, like, she has a few tools, but she's just as not of a stone-cold badass as Nathan Drake is.
No.
So, like, the action set pieces don't feel the same way as, like, an Uncharted action set piece. But there's still a few of them that are very scripted. And like we said, I really wish it was, like Uncharted, where, like, I could get, a gun that holds a lot of bullets in my back pocket and then, maybe reload it occasionally. But usually it's just, like, pick up a weird power weapon, hold on to it until I get to an action set piece, dump all my ammo, have to throw it away, and be like, God, I really wish I still had that gun.
Yeah.
Like
I said, there's still more experts.
Gallery was a little goofy. Yeah, there's
still more experts.
Gotta go
to find out. So maybe some shit will change. I don't know. But right now, it's very, pistol. Like I said, the pistol's good, but pistols are sidearms for a reason.
Yeah. And like, you don't have a scope on it, unless that's like a mod I get later, which I don't think so. But it could be like the third light module could be like marksman. I don't know. You've got light, rapid, ion, power. I think there's another one under Ion, but it's probably still just a Ion, just different than the 3-round burst. But, like, you could, but yeah, you can't scope in, and this is a modern video game, so sometimes there are big, long, open spaces because Kay, has to jump and rope and stuff. And sometimes there are baddies shooting at you, and, like, you can distract them with nicks, you can blow stuff up, but, like, we've talked about this before. Grenades are a little awkward. Pitching grenades is, like, a little bit of an awkward, button press. Kind of wish it was, again, a dedicated button. I unlocked the ability to smoke bomb like forever ago, but I almost never use it because, like, the actual times when smoke bombing out would be handy has been very small.
Yeah, you can only use it in, like, melee, really.
Yeah, it's not super long ranged, and so, like, if I actually, I've got the fast talk. If I get caught, I would just hopefully fast talk shoot somebody, or just punch them. Kay's all right at punching. It's that video game trick of if she surprises somebody, she can take them out super easy. She can do that big hammer blow right to the top of their head. Knock your ass out cold. Sometimes you gotta trade a couple punches. But yeah, no, like it's some of the shooting galleries are a little weird, but there's enough of a game there that we keep coming back.
Yeah. Like, I'm excited to see where the story goes. Like, again, this game makes me want to do, like, an Edge of the Empire, like, big heist.
Definitely there is some room for that.
But,
sorry,
I guess that's
a Destroy chat. Apparently, people got dumped from the server.
Yeah, no, I was dumped out.
It does that sometimes. Got a wire crossed somewhere. But yes, Outlaws, still fun, still cool. Still on PlayStation Plus. Check it out.
Horse.
Yep, that's me. That's me talking about that. Well, I should mention at least the next thing I've got a bullet point about. Just to, let everybody know about the plans to keep you guys in the loop. Streams. If you didn't see, we finished Okami. You can now binge watch all of Okami. It was like right around the info time, but we did it. I defeated Yami, the Lord of Darkness. I won't spoil what his dealio was, but it's a pretty fun sequence. Did not get 100% stray bead completion, but saved some save files so I can go back and get a few things. Maybe I will boot it up and finally myself get that trophy for all those fishing as well, because that's one I also didn't have. But Okami, very good. If you want to see it, watch the stream archives. The VODs are all there.
I teared up a little at the end.
No, it's a good ending. Yeah, I really feel it. I've always loved that. This is a little spoilers, but like I said, I've always loved the vibe of you show up and the final boss is just hits you with the no beam and sucks away all your powers, but then it comes back.
But then it came back.
Comes back, the music swells, you fucking glow golden and you're just like, fuck you, sun's up.
The power of my friends is my power.
Ishin's there to back your ass up now. It's a great moment. Great character arc for him. Very excited to see how we handle a sequel. They're plugging. But we're gonna probably keep the Capcom train rolling next if we can, and maybe take a crack at Revelations.
Yep, it is important, especially for Jill.
Yeah, got stuff going on, so we'll see. We'll hopefully try to be back to more Resident Evil. We are, we're doing it. We said I think at the start of this year we're gonna try and work through some Resident Evils. We're working through some Resident Evils.
Yeah, no, we got through 5, we got through 6. Let's do, maybe Revelations 1, and then honestly, about that time, it might be time to start working on 7 and 8.
Might be the spook time.
Might be the spook time.
Yeah, and I like that. I think Loft made this joke in the live chat of Okami, but yeah, it's been long enough after RE6. We've cleansed our palate.
Yeah.
We're okay again.
Oh god.
RE6 is a game that you should play once with a friend and then hopefully never have to play again, because it is a wacky, wild, weird time. It's gonna be so interesting to see, if and when they eventually get around to a remake, to see what they do with that.
I do think that 6 needs a remake. I don't know.
We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Right now, I think they're focusing on arguably the more important remake, which is Veronica.
Yes.
Code Veronica being remade into Veronica, because that's a game that is actually I see a lot of people out there in the world discussing the purposes of remakes, and one of them usually is, you should only do a full on, people have unscripted, getting ahead of myself. An opinion I have heard broadly from several people is, one of the philosophies is you should only do a remake if a video game their reach exceeded their grasp, right? The core idea was good, but it had a flawed execution for some reason. I think Code Veronica is one of those games. It has, good stuff in it, but also has genuine, flaws and problems, not just in, a idea level, but in, straight up, bugs and stuff, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, that's a good pick for a remake. Arguably, you don't need to remake a game like RE4 necessarily, because that game was already a phenomenal bestseller. I still think,
keeps getting re-released constantly. Jesus.
Yeah, they release it constantly. I don't think that was a necessary remake, but since they did start remaking some of their older, lower poly games, I understand why they wanted to remake their really good one, and kind of all line it up. And I think the RE4 remake is pretty good, and it is additive. It's not quite the same way as the Final Fantasy VII remakes, but they do add stuff and kind of change stuff, and generally people are positive. I think they did a lot of extra work with Louise, some extra bullshit with Krauser. They do some stuff to improve upon the original in ways while still keeping a lot of the spirit in there.
Yeah.
And the the FF7 remakes. RE7 doesn't need a remake. It's perfectly fine. Honestly, I think unless it takes them so long to get to there that we're at a whole new huge level of tech, I think 6 is where they will stop. like for remakes. Like 7 is good. I could see, like that people talk about the rumor mill, like a proper RE1 remake. Like Resident Evil 1's been through a few iterations. Currently, the latest version is the HD remaster. What up?
Sorry, now I understand the fucking the text line about Scorched Dragon Leather, because it says a mighty dragon slayer once claimed these dragons were fodder. The Burnt Scales remembers that well. It's talking literally about Scorched. Okay.
That's great. Yeah, I hadn't seen the text description. That is great. I think he does actually, after slaying them, be like, they were nothing but fodder. We will call this castle Wyvern's Rest. Scorch is unfortunately built different. You should go watch Ren. He's pretty baller in that one.
I mean, I remember the birth of the sword. Say while everyone's climbing the tower, Scorch just at the bottom fighting off fucking
waves and waves of demon with his meteor greatsword. After it finishes, he throws it on the ground and says, I think I shall fight no more. I'm gonna go take up farming. And JP picks up the sword and goes, this sword has 90 durability left. But no, there are some other great Scorch capers, not just the dragon slaying, but there's a couple of other moments in Ren that are great. I have the one burned into my head because Rubik's ripped the clip from his stream where Scorch technically VTubes, but as a hot dog. Which is great. I love his little hot dog avatar. But there's the hit put out on Greg where he's just like, hey Greg, it's gotta be this way. You killed my boss, Greg. And Greg jumps off and he does the fucking even flow, frame perfect glider land, slays him in a single blow. and he just turns to the camera and says, if you give me a hit, it's getting hit. No, he has some fucking schmoves. But yeah, no, sorry. Resident Evil, right.
Yes.
Chat saying they might remake 1. They haven't technically fully remade 1, so I could see that. I mean, they have remade 1 a couple of times, but not in the remake way.
I think the remake was back out on GameCube and
probably that
I don't
era.
know if anything else.
Right now, our like I said, our modern port is an HD remaster of the original. It's basically the original game, but HDified. I could see kind of like a remake trilogy of Veronica 1, RE0 kind of a thing. Figure out what the fuck is going on with Wesker. By that time they'll probably have RE10 though. That's a lot of games.
There's a lot of games. And
they're popular, they're doing great. Capcom really killing it. That's like I said, that's honestly why I'm pretty jazzed for the Okami sequel, because it is, Capcom is pretty serious about this franchise shit they're doing, and they're really doing it, they've got a pretty Capcom is really locked in. I think Square Enix is really locking in. Hamaguchi's been doing loads of press tours about Revelations, talking about the gaming philosophy and stuff. Mm-hmm. And kind of what they had in mind, why they didn't switch from Unreal 4 to 5, because they were just no, we're just keeping the smooth assets we got. We got our pipeline figured out, all for the better, because Epic is fucking talking about Unreal 6 is gonna have AI bullshit built in. Not unexpected, but possibly grody. Goodness knows where they're sourcing that technology. But yeah, that does also, wrap back around the thing I was going to say, which is that, the FF7 remakes are, they're a different sort of remake where, we are conforming to the plot bones of the original, but we are filling out so much more that was just nothing, mm-hmm. in the original, obviously really fleshing out the character of the original Avalanche guys, filling in so much backstory stuff that was just kind of, vaguely alluded to in the original, and what Hamaguchi's been saying recently, which is kind of, they're intending this to kind of be the, I wouldn't say be all end all, but this is not just the FF7, but is also kind of the compilation of FF7 remake of including all the bits and bobs from, oddball games like Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus from before Crisis, which was just only on phones in Japan, including all the greater canon stuff into one big experience. So you can get kind of a definitive version of the story.
Yeah, but it's still missing bits. They showed off the 2 kids from The Kids Are Alright, the fucking light novel. But unless you've read it, you still don't know what those kids' deal are.
It's true. And I think that's kind of the fine line they're dancing, where they're trying to leave room for you to still go do those things, but also not necessarily replacing them. I mean, honestly, looking at what they're doing, if if there's actual deep ground guys in Revelation, I think we're just gonna retcon Dirge of Cerberus, and that's probably okay. Dirge is weird. Dirge is a weird game. This is a thing we did talk about, like, I think it was in a VC playing Vintage Story. We talked about, like, if we could get some PS2 shit working. I would stream Dirge of Cerberus just so you guys could see. Like, I played it pretty decently. I don't think it's a good game overall. Like, it's functional, but it's got some flaws. But, like, it is such a weird trip to be Steve Bloom era Vincent Valentine.
I love the gun customization. That was fun.
No, yeah, there was some cool ideas. And honestly, like, giving Vincent a couple of different things. He has, like, you know, his classic Cerberus pistols, but also, you know, he can do, like, a long arm. He can do a machine gun. Like, you know, he had a couple of different stuff. The mechanics for, like, you know, transforming were pretty cool. The soundtrack's pretty baller. There's a couple of good gacked tracks in it that you know, they got him to do music for the game. I think the boss fights were pretty alright, but, like, also, like, Deep Ground is kind of like, I don't even know if they're necessarily cliche. They are just kind of like, whatever. They're like, there was a double secret soldier program, too fucked up for the light of day, deep underground. We called them Deep Ground. They're named after the most horrifying thing of all, colors. But in, like, the Japanese way that they're cool, you know, because, like, I know people like to make fun of Azul the Cerulean's name of being Blue the Blue, but, like, that's, I'm sure in Japanese he was named Azul, you know, and just, like, the Blue. Like, it made more sense when it was multilingual, which it still technically is, but people know enough about foreign languages to know that Azul is, like, a blue.
A blue.
Rojo the Crimson, by Mary Elizabeth Gwynn. She was, like, a scary red lady who was, like, kind of like a sexy vampire, but not really. That didn't go hilarious,
considering we had Scarlet in the OG.
Yeah, I know. They should bring her back, and they should make her related to Scarlet somehow. That would be funny.
No, that would be.
It's interesting that the characters for Deep Ground they showed off in the DLC were Nero the Sable, which, yes, is also Black the Black, but yeah, that guy. And then, as a bonus boss, Weiss the Immaculate, with his gun katanas. But also, I will say, there are positives, though, to Dirge of Cerberus, because Dirge of Cerberus starts with a cutscene of, like, Vincent going back to make sure Hojo's fucking dead at Midgar. Spoilers, Hojo was not dead. I think the gun gets struck by lightning as the meteor's coming down, and Vincent never found the body. But then, like, Hojo's cyber ghost is, like, the big bad of Dirge, and I'm just like, that's perfect, actually. Like, I like that. I need that kind of, like, conclusion because it wasn't in the original FF7 in the remake trilogy. Like, if Hojo is a 3-stage solo boss fight with Vincent on top of the gun, I'd be okay with that. Play another Genova remix when we do that.
That'd be rad.
I mean, I remember from the original, I think I've mentioned this before, but when you fight that Hojo boss fight in Midgar in the final act of the original FF7, it plays the Genova boss theme. So, like, perfect time to fit another remix in there.
Doesn't he infect himself with the Genova cells?
Yes, no, that is what he does, is, like, he's, again, spoilers for FF7, but the game's literally 30 years old almost. You parachute down into Midgar because they move the cannon, because their plan is to shoot the cannon at the barrier around North Crater. You know, the huge materia didn't blow up the meteor, so they're going to shoot the barrier to try and, get it so somebody can get to Sephiroth. They do fire the gun. They fire it right through Diamond Weapon. It does break the barrier. Diamond Weapon shoots Shinra Tower and allegedly kills Rufus Shinra, except not really. You know, that happens in Event Children. You guys parachute down into Midgar, which is why the third game has the parachuting mechanic, because they needed to do those animations anyway. That's where you fight Heidegger and Scarlet in the Proud Claude, their giant robot, and they die. But you get all the way up to the Sister Ray, and Hojo is there. Hojo's trying to fire it again, but it's going to blow up all the Mako reactors in Midgar. Why is he trying to fire it again? Because he's going to send all of the energy in the Mako reactors in Midgar to Sephiroth, his son, so he can become a god. In case you didn't pick up on that earlier in the video game, Hojo says it straight up. Vincent, I believe, has some ancillary dialogue if you bring him to that fight. But yeah, you're right. He's like, all right, you fools, I'll stop you myself. I'm gonna shoot up with Genova cells. It's finally my time. And then he becomes, he starts as normal Hojo, and then you punch him, and then he becomes weirdly snaky. And then I think you punch him again, and he transforms again. He might have 3 stages.
I don't know.
Very funny translation. It's supposed to be Heretic Hojo, but the translators didn't know. because LR Flip, they translated it as Helletic Hojo, which also works. I bet his boss subtitle will be Hojo the Heretic in the remakes. But yeah, no. So like he definitely has a big goopy multi-stage boss fight in his future. Which I'm glad, because they went out of their way to make Hojo extra fucking greasy in the remake trilogy, and I hate his guts. I already hated his guts, but he's so Hojo, I say. Oh, actually, while talking about Final Fantasy VII, small note, Chip Cheese MLP finally started posting his remake LPs.
Oh, okay, cool.
They started with 2 episodes. They did the double header to get through the entire prologue, so that'll be a fun chance to revisit. It is very interesting because, you know, that's set up with 2 guys also on the LPs, and Grant, the other co-host, has never, you know, played the games before and has no history. He just experienced the remake. It's very interesting to see with outside eyes them kind of do the first intro with Zack and just kind of be like, I have no idea what's going on. And then Chip turns to him and he's like, you're right. I have no idea what's going on. All this stuff is just for the freaks. And I'm just like, yeah, it really is. Like, even we don't know what the fuck's going on, and that's the point. God, the Nibelheim intro is so good, though.
I like how Cloud gets the idea that Zack was one of the soldiers that died. I find that really good, actually.
No, yeah.
It's such a little thing, but...
Yeah. Also, I just love, again, Revelation spoilers, but I love that they just, like, just hide Zack lines with Zack's VA in the flashback. But it says the Shinra guard, you know, with the helmet covered, like you said, so he's just, like, he just says Zack stuff that you know he said in Nibelheim. So, Cloud, you got a girlfriend? Me? You bet I do. You want to hear about her? And you just know Cloud is just like, no, dude, you're killing me. God, no, it's such a great sequence.
No, I'm so excited for next year. You guys don't understand. Actually, some of you guys do understand. I won't say that you don't. You people are with me.
They're in it. We're in it. This is great.
And we're going to be getting more news as the months go on. We got Summer's Gamescom. We got Tokyo Game Show.
I'm feeling like release date at Tokyo Game Show.
Probably. And we'll still have the Game Awards, so they might like get in one last trailer then.
Big trailer.
Yeah.
Well, so the Game Awards has most anticipated game. GTA can't win it because if everything goes to plan, GTA will already be out. Now, what we're gonna have to worry about is GTA sweeping all the fucking award categories and it being a clown shoes of an award show. But if it happens, it happens. Fucking whatever, man. But most anticipated game, and like, Revelation's gonna be on that list, and I bet it's gonna be a strong contender to win that award because, like, it'll be coming out early the next year. It'll be really hyped up. Like you said, they might cram another trailer in there, especially if it does get nominated. I bet Square Enix will be like, ho, well. Because you can see it right now, right? Like, Jeff Keighley comes up on stage and says, and here's a trailer from one of our nominees for most anticipated game, Final Fantasy VII Revelation. I got to present to you the title announcement of Revelation at Summer Games Fest.
He would say it exactly
perfect,
like that.
Perfect, like it's the perfect Jeff Keighley hitbox. Like, it's just such a soft pitch. What I really am going to be interested in seeing is other things. Like, will we see OD maybe?
I'm hoping. Like I said, Jeff Keighley and Kojima, they got remarried.
Yeah, they went out of their way to make some meme posts about having dinner in Tokyo, and everybody was like, "Divorce arc canceled." It turns out Hideo Kojima didn't show up because he didn't have anything to announce. Actually, I think that genuinely was it. He wasn't at Summer Games Fest because he didn't have anything to show.
I think he was also doing the thing with Nicholas Winding Frey.
He's been mad posting about hanging out with directors lately, so he's brewing some stuff.
I literally think he was just busy.
Yeah,
but like I said, I am hoping that probably get some OD notes. I know it's still probably going to be an Xbox exclusive, but I am still curious about it.
I'm hoping to see at least a PC port. Like Xbox is in a little goofy way. Not to say that Sony's not doing their own thing. I think they just made a statement where they're just like, AI is the future of gaming, and we're all just kind of like, okay, Sony.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. Like, as much as I'm still icky about AI, I'm basically hearing almost every giant major gaming company saying yes, we use AI.
Everybody tries it out. Like, it's. I don't know if it will actually mean anything, but it would probably be stupid of Sony for their shareholders to be like, we're staunchly anti-AI. Like, unfortunately, the way the market is that would probably hurt their stock price.
Yes.
That's the thing, right? We'll see if it fucking matters that they're like, AI is helpful to game development. Because a decent number of game devs have said, yeah, we've tried it hasn't really done anything, you know? And then you have Epic out here being like, oh yes, we're going to streamline, integrate, we're going to start creating AI-generated assets for Fortnite. Unreal 6 is made with AI. It'll code itself for you, and you'll have to fucking bug fix it. Won't that be great? But yeah, like Sony's not perfect either, but Xbox is really going through it. Word on the wind is that they're closing or selling off several studios, like giving them a chance to buy themselves back. One of which is... Go ahead.
Oh, no, go, please.
I'm going to say, one of them is Ninja Theory, who literally just announced a new Senua Hellblade game at the Xbox showcase, like literally the week before, and they're hitting people with like layoffs and closures and like selling off studios.
Yeah, apparently that whole thing was to hopefully drive up interest in people so that they would buy the studio. And I'm just all like, that seems a little messed.
Like, on the one hand, I totally understand. I think the new CEO even said it, like, they're gonna have to tighten their belts. They were having a, like, rough, like, period, you know? But, like, that's also, like, real... I could say it. It's a little fucked up of them. It's a little fucked up of them to announce all these games from studios and, like, inspired by, and then next week, you know, not at their official presser, obviously, because that would be depressing, but to be like, and we're going to sell off a shitload of studios. By the way, you saw that announcement? RIP. And they're like, you know, they're, at the same time, they're, like, closing off exclusivity and stuff, and we'll I guess we'll see if that fucking matters. Like I said, I think I said this last week, but I'll reiterate. I understand competition being healthy, and I do kind of want to, like, try and push the game studios to be, you know, doing better, brighter, but that is not necessarily, like, bottom lining into more AI schloppening, you know? That will not necessarily improve dev time. Seems to be the general consensus so far. And, like, I do not actually think necessarily, like, I know Sony's talking about, like, they're moving back away, they're officially moving back away from PC. I think it was rumored that they were planning on dropping a lot of, like, narrative games from PC porting.
Yeah.
So it may entirely be, by the way, that if you want to play Seros, which is steadily growing in sales, and Housemarque is like... Housemarque actually, I think it was last week, straight up said, yeah, we're aiming for the FromSoft curve. We want to make our games bigger and better sellers every time. I'm like, that's a good goal, actually. I think that's a good level for a studio of their caliber, to try and, you know, improve the curve every time. Check out Seros. You might only be able to play it on PS5, actually. It might not be getting a PC port. But that's if you can afford a PS5, because, you know, those same AI companies who are trying to put AI in your video games are buying up all your storage and RAM, which has to go in consoles. Like, it's one of the, you know, sucks. And cloud gaming's horseshit. It's fake. It never happened. It's arguably less real than VR. VR gaming does exist, and it's real cool if you can afford it. Cloud gaming is like nothing. A really goofy experiment that like Xbox and Nintendo and Sony all got together when Google said they were going to break in, and they were like, nah, we're going to do cloud gaming. And then, as usual, Google tried something for like 12 months, was like, nah, and then left. And you never heard about Stadia no more, and everybody stopped trying to do cloud gaming. So like I said, I think, you know, competition would be nice, but I don't feel like this is going to help Xbox grow their market share by actually making things, you know, Xbox exclusive. I honestly don't. I would hope it drives people to PS5 sales, because I think the PS5 is a very solid console. You have complete backwards compatibility with the PS4, which has a huge fucking library. And they're adding, like, backwards compatibility on PS2 and PS1 games all the time. I'm really hopeful that whatever dark wizardry Konami did to get Metal Gear Solid 4 off the PS3 means that we're going to get more PS3 games on the PS5.
Yeah.
Please, Sony, please. Killzone Trilogy. Please. You're going to get fucking Halo on PS5 before a Killzone Trilogy on PS5. Please. Free me. But, like, so, like, I will go to bat for the PS5. It is a great console. I do not know if it's going to actually improve their market share to have more exclusives when everybody else is getting fucking scrongled in the economy. I don't know, man. Drakengard 3. Yes, that's another one. Please. Drakengard 3 is still Squeenix, right? Or did that end up with a different studio?
No, it's still Squeenix.
Okay. We'll see then. We'll see. Square Enix has been like I said, Square Enix has really turned a corner on this multi-platform shit, and it seems to be working out for them. Like, they are cooking. And I'm hoping also that they will continue to cook, like, obviously with the free trial expanding for Final Fantasy 14, more people can get into that. I'm hoping more people try out 16. 16 is a really cool game. That's another bad take that happened over this week is because it hit PS Plus, there were some people encouraging you to try 16, and I saw somebody tweet out like, FF16 was such a dumb bait and switch, man. Like, it started off with like a cool medieval fantasy setting, and then there was like, I don't know, aliens or gods or something in the end. It got too like, sci-fi, and it's like...
I was like, have you never played a Final Fantasy?
That's tell me how you've never actually beaten an old school Final Fantasy. There's robots in like I think it's technically a space station in Final Fantasy 1? I think there's a space dungeon? There's definitely sci-fi robots. Like, Final Fantasy is full of this bullshit. You go to the moon in Final Fantasies? Like, and again, to say nothing of the fact that, like, one of their best-selling biggest hitters, 7, which is currently in the process of being remade, is, like, pure FF Cyberpunk. Like, there's, very advanced technology. Arguably got more advanced in the remake. They have fucking smartphones now. Shit like that. And not the fucking PHS. I mean, they still have the PHS, but it's different. Honestly, I kind of hope for 3 we bring back the PHS, but in a silly way. I really hope everybody gets their fucking Advent Children era flip phones. I think that would just be so funny.
Oh god, I'm so excited to see what we do in Revelations. Do I want to?
So cool.
No,
so cool.
Do I want to go back and play the first 2 games? Do I want to start hot and fresh?
Well, we should. We'll probably try and figure out a stream run of Rebirth sometime, like maybe around when we're closer to Revelation, when we have an actual date.
We should.
We did do Remake. I would like to do Rebirth, so that'll probably encourage either a separate, salty run back or not. I'm trying to think. Do I need to play Remake again? Probably not. I've played Remake like 3 times now. I think I got that one locked in my brain.
I think I could do Remake again. I think I've only beat it twice. And also, it forever bugs me that in Rebirth, the weapons in Costa del Sol are based off your Rebirth, your Remake weapons.
Right,
and so
right.
If you
yeah, you need like a pitch perfect save file. I should.
So I'm like,
that.
I gotta go back in. I gotta get back in there.
Well, especially because you fucking know, because they're going to check your save data. There's going to be something like that. Maybe off-screen Johnny will have expanded your Costa del Sol villa for your weapons from Rebirth.
And that's why I'm
never
like,
know.
I'm like,
but yeah, no, it's a thing to keep in mind. God, Rebirth is a phenomenal game too, though. Like I said, I'm glad actually. Since the announcement, like Rebirth is actually like selling even better than Remake sold when they released it like on Switch 2, like the new release, and people are going back. So like all the success to Square Enix, they've I think really got it together. So like whatever dark wizardry Konami did to get Metal Gear Solid 4 off the PS3, hopefully we can get some Square Enix games off there.
Honestly, I'm trying to think of Square Enix games for PS3. We did a decent amount
of multiplat, like because 13 was also on Xboxes, so those were on PC.
Yeah. There's that. Dragon Guard 3, which was already messed. What else did? Also, can we get Blue Dragon off the Xbox 360?
Honestly, actually, yes. Can we? There were some weird Xbox exclusives back in the day. Can we get rid of those?
Yeah.
I know chat knows about this because of the Ace Combat 8 thing going on, but the Ace Combat before 7 was an Xbox exclusive, and I think it's still stuck on the 360. Like, if you want to play it on a modern console, you have to use their backwards compatibility shit. Like, there's... That generation had some real cool games, and there's a little that bust out. Let's see. Well, Amazon.com has a search field for PlayStation 3 for Square Enix. So let's see. Lightning Returns. Yeah, there's the 13s. We did remake Nier, so you don't got to worry about that. They're doing Dream of the Trilogy. There's Dragon Guard 3, like right at the top. Pretty sure the Hitman HG is there.
Okay, we got the Lost Remnant off of the 360. That's good.
Yeah, it's a good one. Let me see.
Let's see what else here.
List of Square Enix games. It's pretty small. I'm just seeing, let's see. XX2 HD Remaster. That's out on all consoles now. Let's see. 13-13-2, Lightning Returns. Those, I believe, are all multiplat. They did some Kingdom Hearts remix and Heaven's Word. And they had a bunch of remake of ports. Oh, also, actually, speaking of Square Enix, everybody, thank you, chat. You listened to me. I told you, please, please, please buy Final Fantasy Tactics Remake, Evil's Chronicles. You did it. Thank God. I think Square Enix said they've sold like 1 million copies, and they just actually had an update to add some new quality of life updates, add some new options, and add a new game plus. So that is a game I definitely have to go back and finish, hopefully sometime soon. But that game was successful, and hopefully that studio can work on maybe a brand new Final Fantasy Tactics. Maybe some
was Blue
ports
Dragon
of
not
the
released
advanced
by
games.
Square Enix? Maybe not. Hang on. I thought it was.
I didn't see it on the list.
Oh no, it was just straight up Microsoft Game Studio Japan. Wild. Okay.
There were a few of those, like obviously there were some.
It was done by Mistwalker, which was spun off by Sakaguchi, who was originally part of Square. Okay.
Oh, okay. So it was
That's
Sakaguchi spin-off studio.
Okay, that's what it was.
Good to know. Actually, that reminds me of sad news. The president of the studio's working on God of Dragon has put ex God of Dragon in his profile. I think the studio is officially donezo. Tencent did not give them more money, and they could not secure more funding. Terrible shame. I think he made a social media post about it, which basically said, like, though, this happens sometimes, you can't, gaming, won't die, but sometimes the money's not there. We're going to go back out there, and we're going to keep creating. And I believe a decent number of the devs have landed new jobs. Like, I believe some more of them have gone to, like, Capcom and some other studios that are actively growing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sad news, but hopefully those people can land on their feet. It is a tricky time, but yeah. I think we were pretty sure that like the studio was like going dormant for sure, because like I said, Tencent didn't want to renew the funding, which seems wild to me, by the way, because they had a crazy good like trailer and pitch.
No, having I can't remember his fucking name, but the actor like in the lead, I thought that was gonna be good.
Oh, it was a great fit. And especially because, like, it seemed like RGG is, like, not fully, but it seems like they're slipping a little. Like there was legitimate, like, controversy and negativity with Kiwami 3. Like, they made a couple of decisions which people generally did not like, including, like, delisting the original Yakuza 3, like, HD. And, like, Stranger Than Heaven has a huge press push, and people seemed hyped, but also some of it is weird. Like, everybody has memes about Snoop Dogg, but, like, he has said some things that people don't always like. He's his own guy, basically. And the thing with, like, Tupac is weird.
The thing with Tupac is weird, and how they maybe got around with that, because, they've talked about that. But also, like, I like RGG, I like Yakuza, I like Judgment, and Stranger Than Fiction does look like it's interesting, so I'm still willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on this.
Yeah, like I said, they're on shaky ground, but they're not lost me entirely. I'm not happy about the Tupac cameo, but I think the studio head did say it when he did, because there was some backlash, and he actually brought it up, and he said he was kind of surprised, because, like, if they asked Tupac's family and they were also okay with it, that's great. That alleviates a lot of pressure from me, because I know that, like, that's part of the controversy, is that, like, Tupac's likeness rights are in the hands of his estate, which are in the hands of a record producer, not his actual living relatives. But if they asked them and they said it was okay, or they responded, that's better. But what the game director said, the studio head, was that, like, oh yeah, and I think he's correct. In Japan, we don't really think that much about using cameos from deceased actors. That's not actually as much of an oddball one.
Yeah, no, like, I think they did, like, isn't the actor that they used for Onimusha deceased?
Yeah, I think they've used, cause I think there's a few like ink suit actors or skin suit actors they've done that are like modeled after famous deceased people. So like, yeah, no, like, that's just, and no, they're probably right that I would assume that like the as long as there's nothing negative in the portrayal, like about the person who is dead, and you probably do have to respectfully ask their family, they're probably all right with it. Yeah.
I mean, as long as Tupac doesn't get fucking shot in the game, I think we'll be okay.
No, that would be a little bit of a cleave too far. I think they will avoid that one. And like I said, I'm very interested in Stranger Than Heaven, because I think that game could have real teeth. Like, again, they're talking about, like, being chased out of America but not welcome in Japan because you're, mixed race. Again, literally the thing that FGO is also talking about. So I'm like, that could actually have some real zing to it, some zip.
No, it's like I'm excited. I'm super excited.
I'm tentatively excited.
So.
Like I said, if they did actually contact Tupac's family about it, that's better. That feels better. like that's another thing that's like, thinking about like the record industry and all that stuff, where it's like there's such a fucking clown shoes industry that I'm just kind of like, Dark Souls of Yakuza? Interesting. Yeah, there've been a lot of closed doors demos. We'll see how it is. We'll see how it plays out. I've liked RGG's games before. Like I didn't decide to get into Kiwami 3 because, like I said, people kind of talked about how, like, maybe it wasn't even though it's supposed to be an HD remaster, maybe it wasn't as updated as it could be. Hiring controversial actors, adding extra story beats they don't need to. Whatever, man. I haven't experienced, the original Yakuza 3 myself that much, so I don't even know. But we'll see how it's shaky wakies. But they could be doing real shit, as we like to say. God, that reminded me. I think there was another game studio I was thinking about bringing up just now, but I've lost it. We'll see if it comes back to me.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure the people who worked on the Kiwami 3 are probably not exactly the same people working on Stranger Than Fiction. Because we do have to remember this about game dev studios. They're not, not everyone is working on one game in there. They usually have multiple teams on multiple projects and whatnot, because...
Honestly... Well, first of all, RGG has a crazy good turnaround time. Like, what was the gap between 8 and Pirate Yakuza? Very
Months.
short, wasn't it? Yeah.
It came out, I think, fall, and I think, like, February the next year was, Like a Dragon, Pirate.
Yeah, so, like, they definitely have, like, A teams, B teams, etc. working on different things. Like, they're working on multiple projects right now. In addition to Stranger Than Heaven, they're working on the new Virtua Fighter too. So, like,
yeah, so
they have different teams. I would assume that obviously, while like the head honcho of the studio, buck stops here type shit.
Yeah.
So, like, he has to respond to commentary, but I would assume that their A team, the team that, just brought you Like a Dragon 8, was probably not fully on board with Kiwami 3.
No. So, like, that might have been, like, some efforts in, like, communications. Maybe they were trying some things and stuff. So, like, because I do think that we as, gamers, players, and consumers have this unfortunate habit of lumping all of a studio's problems just on the studio.
On the studio, and especially on the one guy. Like, that's...
Yeah.
If Lucky and the rest of the chat doesn't know that goes back to, I know this from a famous quote from Warren Spector, who was one of the visionaries behind games like Deus Ex and Thief. But he has a pull quote that was in a newspaper. I think it was about Deus Ex, but it might have been about something else, where he was talking about how there's this assumption in the press and among the audience to lump all the successes of a game on a single visionary feature, and that's not really true. And then the byline is Warren Spector, creator of Thief. And it's like, okay, he did do some of the work himself, but also, like, the quote is about him not being a one-man team.
Yeah. So, I guess one of those things that we gotta remember, yes, like, it's like, fucking, Square Enix. Like, for a long time, the 14 team was just known as, what was it? Creative Business Unit 3?
Yeah, Business Unit 3.
Business Unit 3. That was their team. They didn't have a fancy name. And so you can assume that there was probably also, a 1 and a 2 in there working on other things.
I think at one point Square Enix said that they had 5 units.
Yeah.
They went through a reorg not that long ago. That's when they dropped the business unit and made them just CS3, Creative Studio 3.
Yep.
And we know for a fact there are at least 3 full studios, but I think they're still at 5. Because one of them is the team that's working on 7. There's a separate team that was been working on Revelations, and I think that the whatchamacallit, right, like the Tactics team, the Tactics Remake team, isn't also a separate team. I think Kingdom Hearts is supposed to be a separate squad from 7, but also I don't know. Yeah, they have the separate. They have one team, and then they have the Osaka team. So we'll see where they're at. Honestly, I kind of hope they bring really hope the FF7 remake team stays together. I actually, Square Enix, I know you're listening to me. I told everybody to go out there and buy Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice Chronicles. But I think it would be really great if the 7 team, after they got 7, and obviously after they get a little bit of spin down time, those guys should probably work on 17. Like, I think that squad could bring together a brand new Final Fantasy. maybe even stretch kind of that mixing of the real time and the tactical stuff. Like, I think they've got the chops for it for sure. But I also don't know what other teams they're working on. If they're not, like, there is some pretty cool action RPG stuff in 7, and they're gonna advance the mechanics even more. I hope they get to at least, pitch in on Kingdom Hearts. And we know for a fact that, like, Square Enix does, like, crossover stuff, because they brought that up when they talked about 16, where, like, they got outside help from Platinum for parts of it, and also got help from the Kingdom Hearts team for stuff. Which, personally, I think we've all pegged. The bits Platinum helped work on was Titan.
Yeah.
And I think the parts that the KH team helped on was Bahamut.
I also think they helped a little bit with the lightning mechanics and stuff, because that was just fucking shot lock.
Yeah, they're also just the straight up shot lock. Oh yeah, no, like the guy who did combat for DMC left Capcom to work on 16, so like that's just straight up, like, yeah, that's all of it. All of it is that. And like Capcom and Square Enix have a very strong relationship that way, because the combat lead on the 7 remakes was a combat lead on Monster Hunter World. So, like, there's that whole, like, back and forth of design there. But, yeah, no, the studios, they grow and they get larger teams. And I think this is the thing that Capcom has been talking about lately, like, why they've been having so much success is because they're deliberately trying to move away from the idea that, like, games or franchises are headed by, like, one guy and it's all his responsibility kind of a thing. Instead, it's like, no, we have different teams working on these different games. And they are the different, they are the Resident Evil team that is working on this project. Sort of a thing, and multiple teams even. And it seems to be working out for them. They're having a banger year. Actually, I think I have to double check because it was just a tweet, so it could be fake. But I have heard that they actually are moving up Onimusha a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got to double check if that's real. But they did this. They ended up doing the same thing with Pragmata, so I'm curious. Onimusha new release date. I'll Google it. Let's see. Steam still says coming September 4th. No official announcement from Capcom, but some retailers have moved it up to the 4th. So we'll see if it's real.
Okay.
Could be real that they've moved it up a couple of weeks. I wouldn't be shocked because the 24th is like a hell week.
No, like I said, everything's trying to come out before GTA. Everything.
GTA
except Godzilla.
Covered, so.
Godzilla don't give a fuck.
Like I said, that's my fucking November game. I'll stream Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. Just you watch. That game's hella cool. Don't remember who I think we played some old school, Big G, some Gogeta himself, but I also think I remember liking, I think it was Gigan a little, because he had a really cool grab, which would be like, scythe, tug him into the saw blade in his chest.
Omega, I declare it, November shall be Godzilla month for movie night. We're going to watch old Godzilla films.
Hell yeah. I fucking love old Godzilla movies.
That's what we're going to do.
We'll watch some Godzilla in response. No, those old... I mean, if you don't know, kaiju movies are also tokusatsu, because tokusatsu just means special effects. But, like, old school toku movies like that, there's something real special. And like I said, I have watched some olds. I've seen the original Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Like, some of that shit's wacky, but it's fun. They're fun movies.
Nah. We'll block out November for Godzilla. See if we can knock
hit
out
some more. Hit some classics. I don't think I've watched the original black and white Godzilla. We have to decide
either.
if we do that. We'll have to. Well, then we should definitely watch it if neither of us have actually watched it. But we'll have to decide on which cut we want to do. Whether we want to do the original Japanese, or people do actually swear by the American theatrical cut, because they were afraid English audiences wouldn't get it with a dub because it's so Japanese. They have they have insert scenes and insert dialogue of an American reporter on the scene, and like people do actually say it's like an additive edit.
Interesting.
I will. It's been a few years since I've heard people yapping about Godzilla. I will, as I usually do, do research about the cuts, because when we do movie night, by the way, it's going to be Predator. That'll be live later today if you're watching this on YouTube. What I usually do is I actually look up like what people think is the like proper cut. Like I've done that for like Aliens and Blade Runner and stuff, and tracking down the right cut. Like the Alien director's cut, fairly solid. Like added some extra stuff and some extra atmosphere, but I also understand why they cut it down. Same with Aliens, like pretty solid film, but I can see why the studio wanted to trim a few things. And I think comparing comparing Jimmy C to Ridley Scott, like, because we watched the extended of T2, that was good, like, that was a solid extended, but also didn't necessarily need the stuff it had. It was all good, but it's very fun to think about it as, like, it's not a director's cut for T2 because James Cameron was happy with the theatrical cut. It's just that honestly, when you go to home video, he can be like, I can put some stuff back in.
I don't mind the stuff. I just don't like the ending of the original T2, where everything kind of fine.
The extended cut ending is a little too on the nose. Yeah, we watched it, and I'm glad to have seen it. And on the one hand, I'm kind of like, I kind of wish they'd done that just so the franchise could have like a definitive ending. Yeah, because they do keep trying to bolt on new Terminators. But the actual theatrical cut ending, where they just kind of like talk about the future being unfixed, and they like stare out at a stormy highway again, kind of like mirroring the T1 ending. Like, no, that's thematically very cool, because like that. The actual theme of T2 is, is like T1, is no fate but what you make kind of a thing, right? Like, the future's not set in stone. Despite it being a movie about stable time loops, the idea is that you can change the future. Like, great film. Fucking great film. Phenomenal work. But yeah, Predator will be another interesting one, because that's, I think Aaron joked about it the other day, where it's like, that's a film that's like, very tropey, very cliche, like it's a pastiche of like really cheesy 70s action movies, and then it's like, a fucking sci-fi horror movie like halfway through, and you're just like, holy shit, what the fuck is happening? But even then, there's some very iconic scenes. It's one of those ones where if you haven't watched the original Predator all the way through, you'll be surprised at being like, oh, that's where that pop culture reference comes from. If you've ever wondered about squads of guys shooting uselessly into the jungle, it's probably a Predator reference. But there's some classics in there. I'm sure people know that if it bleeds, we can kill it. That's a Predator callback. But there's some other good ones in there. But yeah, we're having fun at movie night. We'll block out some time for Godzilla, because like I said, I actually haven't kept up with some of the newer ones, but like I've watched some old school Godzilla, and they are very fun. Got some choice shit. I think I've talked about this. I have a DVD somewhere that's a fucking double feature of Godzilla vs. Destroy and Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, which are like goofy ass concepts, but very fun. There's a Godzilla in space. But yeah, we'll hit him up. Check us out on Discord. Check out our movie nights. We have an events roll as well. Maybe I will. I'll put a reminder text in the events blurb to be if you want the react us. All right. Okay. We're at about 3:20, and I think that was less than my bullet list. Yeah.
Yeah, we could just end on some Deathwatch. We had a very interesting session.
Yep, yeah. Session out now. Make sure to post it. Remembered? Mm-hmm. No, I actually put this in the video description. This is our first mission. It's going to 3 sessions. I do not think it will be 4. I think you'll lock it in. I was a little tired during the session. I hope it doesn't show too much. But I don't remember if I said this to you guys, but I may have. I started having a little bit of a headache like right around the time we took a break at like 2 hours in.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah. So I may have said something, and then I like, we took a break, splashed some water on my face, drank some more water, tried to shake it off, but it didn't really leave me. So I was a little low juice, a little gassed at a couple of points in the sesh, but it was an interesting one. So, this was second mission in a place, Storm of Salt Part 2. You guys are still in Worm Nest. You're still in the desert, and you guys did a few things. You got to have some fun, got to test out some new weapons, got to realize I had to fix some things because there was way too much math involved. Flame plus full auto is way too fucking many dice, so I had to fix that. Didn't want to just cut out the Worm's Breath though. Like I did homebrew those, but those are like literally those 3 like shotgun rounds are taken from like the modern Deathwatch wargame codexes. Like they have access to that shit, and I'm like, well, they probably would have access to this in the Deathwatch RPG. You have the Astartes assault shotgun in here for a reason, and it's a really good shotgun. But yeah, you melted some guys with some Worm's Breath rounds.
Yep.
Dallas melted some guys with his Balefire gun, which he is not joking in the session. It is, in fact, literally a radioactive flamer. The Deathwatch mixes radioactive isotopes into the Promethium. It's honestly, it's very appropriate that you guys have it in the armory and that you busted it out, even though it's not necessarily for this matchup. But it's designed to fight xenospecies like orcs that are like really persistent and have like environmental effects around them.
Mm-hmm.
So I did joke in the text chat about them needing to close that shaft and that mine shaft now, but it's a good fit. So, we're doing some schmelting. I think the team got in there. We had some good bants. At one point, the Space Wolf is like, are we sure this guy's not a blood angel? And, he comes back with, no, if I was a blood angel, I'd be prettier.
That was a good line.
No. Like, very solid stuff. The meme of everybody just deciding to fight the last group of rioters just all in melee, and then Sniperius being like, I won't get into melee. I will draw my pistol, though. I'll take some pie shots. No, very, very solid session there. But we got to test the rules for the torpedo strike.
Big woo.
Yeah. And fate was against you.
Yes, it was.
Actually, honestly, I'm thinking about it. I think usually D1 hates my guts, but I think I had a pretty decent run. I did actually clip you guys with a couple of shots, both in ranged and melee. I actually succeeded on some dodge rules. Didn't hit anybody with my big bungus, but that's okay. That was the point. The point is to make you guys, afraid. You literally did your turn different because you were like, I want my reaction to dodge, actually.
That's the point.
If this guy shoots at me, I want to be able to dodge. And it's like, my work here is done. I made them at least think about what they're doing, But I think D1 did not hate my guts, and he did the very funny thing with the scatter die, which we did talk about a little in Final Fantasy XIV of all things, because we had a lot of downtime just fucking slamming rocks and working on Auxilia.
No, if you want to see well, God, I don't even know how to explain it. It's
so the boys called in an orbital strike, not that strike, but the other one. What would I say? It's not the tactical nuke. That's the lance strike. Everybody dies, but it's bigger than calling in the airstrike,
close air support,
kill streak. Yeah, the close air support. There are literally gun runs and close air support. So, it's like the big bomb. I'd say it's like the Predator missile, except those are a lot more accurate, because,
honestly, we kind of called in the 500 kg.
Yes. Yeah, the big 500. And you guys stopped, you were smart, you were like, let's make sure we're at, decent safe distance in case it goes wrong. It did go wrong. It reminded me, the story I thought of in the moment, Lucky, was, it kind of reminded me of another classic, old school moment, which is unfortunately not recorded forever, but back in the old Mayhem Squad days, speaking of Star Wars, there was an incident where the other players got a little annoyed at you and Taquette because, you guys were doing a canyon run, and there were some guys in front of you, and I said you could fire the torpedoes, but, they were close, you would be in blast range, and you were like, fuck it, we ball, and fired the torpedoes. And it wasn't really that bad. I think it made your next check a little tougher. Maybe you took a little strain from it or something. But
no, I remember this. I remember with this, because I do remember the story. It wasn't that it was firing torpedoes at the guys in front of me. There was guys behind us, and I fired torpedoes forwards to blow up a rock ridge above us to basically damage them. And the check was for me to get under the rocks before it did us, and I did not do it perfectly. And so we took a little damage from it.
There was some concern from the time when you scraped the paint a little. Yeah.
Yes.
It was, I pitched it as a risky move, and it was a risky move. It didn't really hurt you guys in the end, but the other players got a little annoyed because you did just hear the option go, I hit the button, beep, and then being like, the consequences of my action.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think this was kind of the same way of you did ask everybody this time, so we did talk about that. That was better to poll everybody. But ultimately, even with the squad lead on your back, the vote prevailed, and we tried it out.
Yeah.
And, it got a little scuffed. It got a little fucky-wucky. I do believe Dallas was correct when he tabulated that it was probably the most single amount of damage you guys ever got done to you.
Yeah.
Ion Cora, got beat up a little bit because he got punched by some of those ambles. But that was, I think, over a couple of turns of taking hits. Cinematically, I think it was very cool to be like, we fired the torpedo. That's not right. And then just boom, and just I described, the fucking shockwave in the sand just rolling in, knocking some of you guys to your knees, kind of a thing, rocking your shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you guys found this out later, but it did its job. I was just like, Yeah, there's a couple of hordes, there's a couple of minion groups there. That was dead center where the fuck, like, you aimed, smack middle of the compound. The scattered in that direction, directly atop of those guys, they are gone.
It saved us a combat, which I think was important.
Like, is it worth, 50 rec to save one combat? Maybe not. But it did save you a combat.
I don't know.
No matter what.
I don't know. Rec we don't use is not rec save. It's just gone.
True. Actually, yeah. That is the nature of the rec is spend it or lose it kind of a thing. It's per mission and per character. So why the fuck not? So I think it worked out. But yeah, I think it was an interesting moment, and it was solid for roleplay. I talked about this with you, like on the FF14, where I was like, I hope I didn't sound like I was like against it. It was definitely me like being like more of like, hold on, I gotta figure out how this is gonna work. And now you've done it, and we've figured it out. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I kind of wish they'd just written, like, deal this damage directly to magnitude of hordes in the radius or whatever, or if they just said straight up like it, I mean. If it did, like, direct, 40-10 or whatever damage to everybody in 500 meters, that would just be, like, the Lance Strike and kill everybody instantly because hordes only have one hit point, basically, anyway.
Yeah.
Ain't no way a horde member's gonna survive, like, 40-10 plus, 10 or 5 for a crack missile? 15, maybe, even? It's a lot.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's like plus something, and it's got, like, pen 8. No, they're cooked, man. Most guys you fight have a toughness of like 3 or 4. Some of them are bigger, like the orcs are more like 6 to 8 range, When you guys fight some of the bigger, uglier gene stealers, they might also be in kind of that radius. Some of those guys are going to have natural armor that actually goes to like the same amount of level that you guys as Space Marines have, You might fight some mega armored knobs who have like real armor values, but most guys have like armor of like, 3 to 5 also. So like the 40-10 plus something, even minimum with like a pen of 8, they're smoked. But no, I think it was a good moment because it was thematically appropriate. It was a good use of your rec in general. Like once we got the math figured out. And like, I think it was also when it did kind of fuck up a little, it was a sobering moment. It was kind of like, oh shit.
It hurt.
It hurt. It was scary. It was very dangerous. And then then when you guys actually got to the mission, it was so funny. I was like double checking, where you're going, what you're doing, and like go out of your way. And several of you are like, yes, we're gonna walk straight past Shaft A on this map. We're definitely walking past A. And I'm like, you're walking past A, are you? Well then, up the elevator. Chaos Cultists, Chaos Knight. And then the group was like, lock in. They were like, oh shit, it's on.
Yeah.
No, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. And we didn't get the perfect cavalcade. There's still some other stuff to take care of, but I did allude to that there would be more of that coming. So I think we'll get even more stees, even more fun times in the next session.
Yeah, I'm excited. I was pretty sure Chaos was going to show up. I didn't know what kind of flavor of Chaos. I'm not too familiar, but you have been talking about how we have our secret third group, and I'm just all like, what is it? Is it going to be Tyranids? No, we got Gene Stillers. We're going to do some other aliens? No, we're not in the right area. It's got to be Chaos. Chaos is going to show.
We're not in the right department for it to have been secretly a Necron Tomb World. I know that, like, some of the boys were, like, 50-50 on that. I could have brought in the Dark Eldar, but I said this, I think, at the end of the recording. I think it was on mic. But it was definitely after the session where it was like, but for Rogue Trader, Aaron was, as the Game Master, doing some things with the different flavors of Eldari. We ran into some weird webway shit at the end of the little campaign, so it's like, I didn't necessarily want to like, seem like I was stepping on any toes. And also, Drukhari are nerds. I'll get my licks in with like referencing them, but I don't know if they're gonna show up on screen in the main line. They're honestly, like, they can be, but the game of Deathwatch does not pitch them as like a Space Marine tier threat, right? Like, they are more of like a Rogue Trader or maybe even like a high level Dark Heresy threat to be like, oh yeah, no, you're running into like, obviously there are Eldar Corsairs, but then you run into Dark Eldar, Dark Elf, raiders and slavers and stuff. That's a real problem. We'll see if we can work in a little, because I know the team has some baggage, but there was some decent, some of the character backstories with like the armor histories and stuff came up with a couple of things, against the traitors, the Chaos Space Marines, so I'm like, we can pepper in some stuff. And it will definitely answer a question because, like, you guys did some big maximized hits. You actually managed to damage the War Dog with just your Stalker pattern, and Brand did a pretty good job with the crack missiles. And, like, you even said out loud, like, man, I think I'm making these tougher enemies. And I'm like, don't you worry, we're only on mission 4. We've still got some funny things out here.
Alrighty, I'm excited.
Honestly, I think that guy did his job. He was big and tough. I'm actually, I don't remember if I encouraged or not, but I'm glad you did call him the missile launcher, because, like, I'm pretty sure Kier could have done a pretty good job, like what he tried to do with where his initiative was, and, like, Alpha Strike it with his plasma gun, because that is kind of where Axe's character build has ended up. But as seen from the fact that guy did spend his dodge on that, he has to recharge between rounds, so that could have gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you guys brought some anti-armor, but we'll have a couple more threats. We got a couple more hordes. That's another thing where, like, I was talking about, like, overall, like, I know it sounded early, like I said, with the Worm's Breath, where some of the guys were like, wow, that's a lot of guys, you guys are killing between the Balefire and the Worm's Breath, and I'm like, no, don't you worry. We're still in, like, fairly early where I'm figuring out weird things to do with hordes. Like, a lot of these guys are, like, small hordes, but with one neat trick. Later, there will be hordes that can be, like, 60 or 80 strong. Like, there will be some meat for you to chew through. Maybe multiple hordes. Maybe hordes in cover. Definitely, there'll be hordes with commanders who have special abilities related to their hordes. That's something that you have not really encountered much. The Magus tried to do that in Mission 2, but also Sniperia's fucking nothing personnel kitted her with a shotgun. So that was not just as planned. That was not a plan generations in the making. But yeah, we're having fun with Deathwatch. Deathwatch fun.
Deathwatch fun. Like I said, I think once we get done with, like, the campaign here, we'll get back into Rain, and I'm excited for it. But right now, I am just enjoying. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the Deathwatch.
Yeah, I've talked about this before with writing it, but, like, there's something so not simple, because, like, I do a decent amount of work, to think about, like, tactics, and I've done a lot more maps for Deathwatch than I normally do for Rain. I'm going to take this as the thing for, like, okay, I really have no excuse. I should absolutely make more maps for Rain, reference maps.
Yeah.
But, like, there's just something so straightforward about just, like, okay, what's the mission? Break it down by the
Objectives.
The primary, secondary, terminary, yeah. Break it down by the objectives. Okay, what's your primaries? What's your secondaries? And then, like, figure that all out. And then it just, like, it's so much, like I said, so much more straightforward to just be like, okay, what's the mission this time? This time, I want you guys to investigate a huge desert oil rig and then go to a space prison. What's in the space prison? Chaos. Or previous missions like defend this castle from orcs. And then future missions will be other stuff. Defending, attacking, sneaking, etc. So yeah, we've still got some fun. It's a lot. It is, like I said, a lot more straightforward. I'm hoping we won't jump straight to, like, a Star Wars, but definitely, like, Outlaws has been scratching my itch a little bit. Like, man, Edge of the Empire is fun. I don't know. Maybe I could write a shorter form. Most Star Wars campaigns I've run have been intentionally, like, open-ended sandboxes. Like, even Clone Wars being mission-based was still just, like, me coming up with cool threats and you guys being like, all right, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? Like,
no, I was definitely thinking about that.
No,
I was definitely thinking, like, do, like, an Outlaw story where we gotta do, the heist of the century, but we gotta do things to get ready for it. We gotta hire dudes, we gotta get intel, we gotta bust a dude out of prison because he's the only guy who knows where the fucking thing is. Kind of stuff. Basically, a lot of, like, set pieces and, like, combinations. And I don't know. Lucky keeps talking about running game. I think I could pull off a good heist. Because honestly, I think I'm probably better for it. Honestly, like, I've talked about this before. It's to Omega's benefit, but he's too kind sometimes. I think a good Edge of the Empire heist guy. There's got to be backstabbing. There's got to be betrayal. There's got to be complications and consequences.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to, like, let you guys fuck yourselves over, but I usually try not to fuck my players up out of nowhere because, we're all at a table together, right? Like,
yeah,
we're trying to work at it. Like, I'm definitely with Deathwatch, like, I'm not overly concerned about, like, honestly, I'm fucking fighting the dice to hit you. Like, I'm at war with D1 to try and hurt you. Like, you guys are supposed to be big, tough Space Marines, but I gotta get you back. But no, I mean, that would, as always, that would give me an opportunity to play, and I could do some very fun stuff.
I'll see if I can work on some stuff.
Think about it.
Like,
you know, and
because
you've got plenty of time
thinking
to cook because God knows, we're in Deathwatch and then back to rain and stuff.
Like, because I was thinking about playing in it because I'm loving the idea of playing like a droid gunslinger, but I think I could write something.
I think you could just make that as the guy hiring the crew.
No, I think I got it. Like, there's rumors of like a fucking vault of goods from like the Trade Federation that was lost in the Clone Wars and all that stuff. No, I think I got a hook. Oh yeah, and that's probably one of the guys where you have to get best out of prison. It's like an old Trade Federation prisoner, and he knows where the planet is. It's out in the Outer Rim, a planet of riches, and of course there's going to be some giant evil Gribbly on it. Yes.
Of course, there's got to be a kaiju.
Yeah.
Well, I think if there's nothing else to say about Deathwatch, that's a pretty good point to wrap it up,
I think so as well.
We loved to brainstorm here.
No, we didn't have much to say on Deathwatch, but that's because, honestly, Deathwatch is fairly straightforward.
Yeah. There's, sometimes there's something to say about our role-playing, our interactions, but usually it's, go here, kill guys.
Yeah. Say brother a lot.
Get your one-liners in, get your moments, and like, it's again very tactical. It's all thinking about how many dudes we're killing and how we don't die, and having fun picking all our Gribblies. And I think that because you guys are definitely, because I'm pretty sure most of the players are like 1 or 2 points away. Everybody's going to hit Distinguished next time, and that's going to open up a lot of builds.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, that's a good crackneck time to wrap it up. It's about 1 a.m., so we'll pack on this one in. Raw recordings, like about 3 1/4. Sorry, 3 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
So we're about 3:40 now, right now. Obviously, editing will compress that. But mostly it's going to compress out long pauses and handfuls of noises, random mic adjustments, me snorting. I don't think I coughed any of this anyway. But let's do a wrap-up. Speaking of clearing my throat. Okay, this has been Let's Talk FGO. We will see you next week for a regularly scheduled show. I think that means we'll probably get some more news out of JP. I know I always say that, but that probably will be late enough at Enmate. They'll have to do something, like announce some stuff. And Lucky will finish Dragon Castle so we can talk about that.
Yep.
We don't really need to do like a pre-game for Anniversary, so we won't do that, but, we'll keep an eye out for all the various panels and stuff going on, and obviously we'll have, all of our other latest stuff that goes into free talking and what's up. There'll be a new mailbag, all that stuff, and then 2 shows from now, the show after the show, that'll probably be, run us live, and we'll go to you after the panel. Won't probably try and simulcast just because that's a little bit of a pain in the butt to like commentate over, but we'll see the anniversary same as you and then recap it all out.
Yeah.
Batingus. That's Let's Talk FGO. Make sure that you are liking the video, commenting, subscribing, all that cool beans, and consider joining our Discord. Come hang out, post in the roll thread, join movie night, post an art dump. Reminds me, I had to go back and double check. I still couldn't get the functions in the dashboard, but Me6 wouldn't update it, so I haven't finalized it. But we can make it so that you can't get EXP in Naruto. If I can get him to.
We need to finalize it. Yeah, we need to. Finalize it.
I need the interface to lock in. Anyway, join our Discord. It's cool. Consider joining the channel memberships for lots of other goody things, and ring the bell for notifications too. If you have that set to all, you'll know when we're posting videos. When we're running up posts, etc. When we're streaming, we already kind of discussed the streaming schedule, what we got going on. So check out all that. And of course, consider supporting us on Patreon, like all of our wonderful, beautiful patrons, but especially Adam Heartblast, Z, OG, sorry. I slurred that one a little. Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JW9000, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, and Charvor. Thank you very much for your support. Patrons, thanks to everybody for listening. Support us on Patreon. Get the audio version. Get access to videos early, like Wanted, like maybe for a certain Space Lady, and other fun things. And at our higher levels, you can listen to us record the show live every week and get a shout out just like that. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.